I did not get a chance to see anything regarding the last meeting yet.
It was
I have
wild.
been bombarded with everything else.
Yeah, it was really wild. And then Virgil gave his "I Have a Dream" speech.
Oh, did he?
It was pretty awesome.
That's it. I have
Dude,
to see
if you get a chance, can you
Imagine.
Can you get on? It's amazing. Can you get on? Go on YouTube and type in ECTV. Maybe we should start with Virgil's.
Yes, I need some inspiration here.
Yeah, so type in ECTV council meeting. Yeah, and go to the last one. And you know how you can like hover scrub on the timeline. Yeah, so just get to Virgil.
725.
I think so. Yeah, 725, and then hover scrub like in the middle. Is that Virgil? Yeah. All right, go right. Yeah, right before. All right, pause it. Okay. Are you cool with starting this with Virgil's
Yes,
I Have
absolutely.
a Dream speech? You want to put it on the screen, Dan?
1 second. Let's make sure it's.
Give it a sec. Okay, make it full. Okay, so just so people know, right? To give them context. So this is Virgil Argenta, who is amazing. And on Facebook, he goes by Victor Arnetta. And his Facebook profile picture is John Gotti.
John Gotti,
John Gotti. But the amazing thing about what Virgil's doing is he's actually bringing the conversation.
Yes, he is.
He's going out into the community every day, and he's trying to help people. And his complaint is like, if I'm doing it, what's the point of you?
Why do we need you?
Yeah, why do we need you?
Yep.
So Virgil, a lot of people have a lot of opinions about Virgil. I really, 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 really like Virgil. He's a straight shooter, man.
Yeah.
He'll stab you in the heart, not the back. And I've seen him do kindnesses that many people don't do.
Right.
He's a very kind person. He's a little abrasive, but he's a very kind person.
He's upfront. He is who he is.
Yeah, and you can't like in this day and age, I really want somebody to just be honest with me.
Right, exactly. No matter what it is.
No matter what it is. So, all right, here is Virgil's, as I call it, the I Have a Dream speech.
Virgil Argenta.
Get a little volume.
$70 million.
There you go.
Imagine what we can do in each individual neighborhood by developing neighborhood impact teams where every neighborhood is represented as to the needs of their specific neighborhood. $70 million. Imagine the difference that we could make with $70 million if it was spent properly. Imagine $70 million. Imagine if we had representatives from the fire, police, code enforcement departments come into each neighborhood and make educated decisions, with each neighborhood deciding what desperately needs to be done to improve the neighborhood and maintain our property value. Imagine what could be done. Imagine if rather than one person making decisions on how to spend money, it was the city as a whole working together.
It's a good idea.
Imagine if we
perfect
put the money
idea.
to good use. Look at the city of Pittston. Every single dime that they acquire is invested into their city, and the city shows. There are no two-page mayor spreads in their local newspaper. Their mayor needs no publicity. His work speaks for itself. Imagine what would happen in Scranton if Scranton did that. $70 million. Imagine what we could do. Look at Mr. John Basiligo, what he's doing with his own money.
Crushing it.
Every property that he touches enhances the neighborhood and enhances the city. Imagine where he would direct revitalization. $70 million. What if we did that in every neighborhood with this $70 million? Imagine if every citizen in Scranton had the ability to state what was wrong in their neighborhood and ways they thought we could change and make improvements in their individual neighborhoods where they pay taxes. The investors in the city. Imagine. Imagine if politics did not come into play. Imagine what a difference we could make in Scranton. From someone who was actually born and raised here and actually cares about the city, where it heads in the future. Imagine what we could do with that $70 million. Just imagine. Imagine $1 million if it wasn't spent to tell us how to run the DPW. Imagine. Imagine if people actually did their jobs and were competent people, and we hired competent people to head up each department. Imagine that. $70 million was put to good use as opposed to being squandered away by that one person. Imagine not worrying about which flag to fly or what to do with bathrooms and who to use them. Imagine if you made decisions and you fought to change things that would be here for a lifetime. Instead, in Scranton, we have 3 council people that are single-handedly destroying this city. You're a different branch of government. You're doing someone else's agenda. For example, the parking garage for Geisinger. Imagine if you 3 made hard decisions to not follow someone else's agenda, and you actually made the tough decisions for the generations to come in the city of Scranton. Imagine that. How are we making out with the...
Bravo.
Did you see that yet?
Bravo to him. No.
What do you
Bravo
think?
to him.
What do you think about that?
That is...
Am I right in calling it?
when I tell you I was getting chills up my spine just listening, accountability in city council and common sense leadership and the neighborhoods, instead of just worrying solely on downtown and driving small, more businesses to come to downtown because we're a tourist area and we need the taxes, of course, and standing up for the people of the Hill section when it comes to that parking garage with Geisinger. He's saying everything that makes sense. It's common sense. But nobody else wants to say it. Everybody wants to beat around the bush, except for guys like Mark Payne, Mark McAndrew, and Tom Schuster. These guys are common sense people who are like, why am I the only one noticing this? And then you have the other ones where we're always having that 3-2 who are just like, oh, well, I think this way. Okay, sure. But what are the people telling you? Why aren't our neighborhoods actually given an opportunity to make decisions about what they need for the future? Why are we telling them, oh, no, we'll get you this? You can't even fill a pothole.
Right.
We have issues with infrastructure that's just dilapidated. It's outdated. It wasn't supposed to last this long. And no oversight when we're replacing, projects, in the streets and things like that. With the water, maybe a water main break. We're not having oversight.
Right.
And he might seem abrasive. Virgil might seem abrasive, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's what everybody is thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least 90% of the people are thinking. And he's just got the gall to stand up there in front of a camera and in front of the leaders, the people who we put in the office, and say, you're dropping the ball here. All right. You're playing flunky for somebody else. You're a yes man for somebody else and working on somebody else's agenda.
So so for people who don't know how, what's going on here, why would it seem like common sense is kind of like a secondary, you know what I mean? In decision making, where it's like
common sense is not common. It's very uncommon.
Okay.
Right? So what we think is common sense of, you're going to put a jacket on if you think it's going to rain.
Right.
You're not just going to go out in a pair of flip flops and no shirt if, it's snowing outside.
Right.
So, some people might for some challenges or social media aspect, for a good cause, ALS or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I think that people in this area where we're so divided upon, right and left, right and wrong,
right,
blue or red, D or R. And if you're not, you don't even have to be solely for one side or the other, but you're just going to go with the trend. People are cohesive as a unit and they don't want to be the odd person out.
So why is it trendy to make bad decisions?
It's the woke generation.
But I like to
we like to progress, right?
But it seems like regression.
But it's yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Instead of progressing forward properly and doing it, with a calculated critical thinking way, we're going to just go ahead and say, you know what? This needs to happen because it needs to happen now.
Right.
Not educating, not explaining, not even researching. Why does it need to happen? And we just go with the flow. People want to be on the newest trend. People want to be in the know. They want to be on the hippest thing.
But is that like,
And it's not even a good train.
But is that like diversity and like all those things? Is that like the cultural stuff? Like they want to be, that's the trendy thing? Because
everybody does, yes.
Because it seems like now it's trendy to make dumb decisions.
Dumb decisions, yes. Or I can't say dumb. I don't want to attack anybody's intellectual.
No, but here's okay. Can I explain dumb?
Okay.
Without critical thinking.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Impulsive
like,
decisions.
It feels good, but it might not be good. You know, like it feels good to make this decision and vote on this decision and feel like well about it.
Right.
But there's no thought on like, yeah, it feels good, but like a year and a half down the road, all those people that we're trying to help are going to be fucked. So is it something about like not looking forward?
It's not. It seems like there's a lack of foresight.
Okay.
And understanding that what it might be, okay, yes, let's jump on it now. But what do we really need? We don't need to spend $70,000 to an outside agency or an outside group, to find out about domestic terrorism.
Okay, but that
which is really what's going on here.
Did you see what that was passed as though?
As the we're gonna what was it? We're
like
gonna
what was
gangs in Scranton. These people don't own gangs.
This firm. Did you know this, Dan?
Us.
I told you about that.
Yeah, I was actually just kind of looking real quick to see if I could find the spot in the meeting.
You know what a gang is? A gang is a group of guys who are hanging out in the South Scranton media school bathroom smoking cigarettes. That's a gang. Well, I mean, right. But you're going to pay somebody in Washington, D.C. thousands of dollars when you know what? We need a new pool house at Weston Field.
Right.
You know what I mean? For the children and for the community to enjoy. I mean, we pay a lot of taxes. What have you done for me lately? You know, we keep on paying taxes and increasing taxes, but we're not getting anything in return.
And it seems like it's getting worse.
But we're going to go give it to DC and these consulting agencies and everything else.
Yeah. Hey, we're not from here. We're going to tell you what we know is best for you.
Yes. We know exactly the demographic and we're going to work on it. We studied it for years. So we're going to figure out that this is your guys' problem and you need to address it. And then there's going to be another $1 million wasted.
So there was a vote that night about this firm whose name just escapes me right now. And Councilman McAndrew said something really interesting to me or said not to me, like I wasn't like, it wasn't like, right. Beyonce singing to me.
Right.
I was the only one in the audience at that moment, Dan.
They locked eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, yes, I'm a single lady. He said, we're passing this thing under the guise of a study for gang activity and recommendations for gang activity. He said, but if you go to the website, it doesn't mention gang activity. It mentions domestic terrorism.
Which I could see where people might say, oh, well, that's one and the same.
They're not.
But they're really not. Terrorism is...
it's a very specific thing.
Moving a political agenda.
Yeah, gang activity.
Right. Gang activity.
I need to make my Benjamins.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me the money.
It's basic. It's basically the street corner government.
Yes, but we're not moving. They're not. Nobody's moving in. I don't see any big big gangs moving into.
I mean, there is gang activity.
Right.
But when people around here
terrorism though. Domestic terrorists.
So that's the
extreme.
They're starting, if you've noticed in the media, whatever you want to call it, the legacy media, the corporate media, whatever the hell you want to call it, it seems like they're trying to put everyone who doesn't agree with President Biden
right.
into the bucket of domestic terrorism
right.
for some reason. And there's a lot of conservatives that I know who are the farthest thing from domestic terrorism.
Right.
And there's a few liberals that I know that are like pretty close to domestic terrorism.
Yes.
And
drink
I think
a little bit too much of the Kool-Aid.
And it feels like we're living in a crazy world
Very
where
dystopian.
Like water's not wet anymore and the sky's not blue. And, that's a very difficult thing to be up against, especially as a candidate for city council.
I know.
Which is
you have to represent everybody.
It seems like, I don't even think, it seems to me over the years that it's not representative of even groups. It seems very monotheistic. It's very about me. So like, I have questions when it's like council people vote against the interests of all of their constituents.
Yes. There was one vote that was put into place regarding the garage and the expansion and, the compromise that the Hill section was trying to make with Geisinger. And one vote just came completely, like, I was shocked. I was floored. I don't want to put the person out there. I mean, it's public knowledge.
Look, their vote is public.
It's public knowledge, but like, you're the new person on the team, and we expect you to go ahead and go out and hit a home run for the people, and you just completely strike out. What was your thought process? Why? And it makes me think more. That's more along the lines of self-interest. What do you have? Now that makes me think, what do you have? What skin you got in game?
Yeah. If that vote doesn't make sense, I'm now curious about your motives.
Right. What's going on there? Because you've had multiple people, even in other neighborhoods, supporting the Hill section. And the people who put you where you are, Geisinger didn't vote for you.
Look, neighborhood associations and shit really don't come out like that.
Right.
Most of the time, they don't even come out for their own neighborhood.
No.
But to have one come together with the South Side, that's enough for somebody who's elected to go like, I really should pay attention to this because it's abnormal.
But then offered up their own compromise. Said, oh, no, the reason I voted this way was because I felt this would have been a better compromise.
I felt.
Yeah,
but
what are we doing with eyes?
But I think that's...
You're not an independent. I shouldn't see an I next to your name.
I think the thing that confuses, especially elected officials, and there's a lot of elected officials in this country, more than we probably realize. Everyone's focused on like representative, president, senator. Mm-hmm. They're locally, holy shit, there's a lot of elected people.
Yes.
I think they get really confused about the reason they're there. Mm-hmm. And it can't be, I felt this way.
Right.
Contrary to the 90% of the people who told me this is a terrible idea, I'm going to vote yes for it because and it's like, no,
right.
That's not how you're supposed to vote.
But you shouldn't. You're a representative. Like you are representing the people.
Why? Is it like career suicide for a politician to be like, hey, I'm going to do like a poll amongst my constituents to see which way your wind is blowing so I can make an educated decision on what my people want?
I just think that there's
like without spending money, like a Google poll that nobody can infiltrate.
Listen, go to my Facebook page. What do you think? Go to my Instagram page. What do you think?
But most people don't get engaged like that.
Send me a letter. You know what? I'll go to the local supermarket and just take a poll. Hey, what do you guys feel about this?
That's not a bad idea.
Do you
ever see any of them doing that?
On this? No.
It's wild.
Not at all. Unless there's a camera there. I mean, there's not much. You'll see them go up to NAOG and, go ahead and donate for a food drive because they'll get their picture on the paper.
I don't think it's
or in social media, patting the dog or whatever.
You never see them in especially certain neighborhoods too.
Oh yeah. You're not going to see them in a lot.
Why is there that divide?
I think.
I mean, you came from the rough and tumble streets, right?
I mean, I'm not. I did, but I'm not.
Compared to me,
compared
and
to
Dan,
somebody who grew
especially
up in
Dan.
Range, yes.
I grew up in the suburbia, Clark Summit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes. Then yeah. I mean,
he slept outside in a tent for fun
like, it's
in his backyard.
Right. I mean,
that was like my 8th birthday. Yeah.
You can't. There's nothing to understand between certain people. I mean, there's like this subconscious divide where these are the people who matter because these are our voters.
Right.
Right. Or these are our super donors. And these are the people that's going to help me get elected. But what about all the other people?
Yeah.
You're not going to go through Skyview projects. You're not going to go. You're going to hang up at Connell Park when there's police presence and we have the music going
this morning.
on. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're not going to do it at 8 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? Just to go.
By the way, it's a beautiful park.
Gorgeous.
I've never been there. I didn't even know we had it.
It gets a bad rap just because of the neighborhoods around it.
I was there. I was like, what? How did we not know about this?
Yeah.
Like, why?
They got a dog park up there. It's gorgeous.
I know we went there. I'm like, why are they not? Why is this not on like the Facebook page? Why is this not on the Instagram?
Higher crime rate in that area.
It's one of the nicer parks I've been to in the city.
No. But they won't step foot.
Dude, when I lived in LA, right? Mm-hmm, I did a movie that got shot in Compton, right? So, and I was wearing a cowboy hat at the time, ironically. And I remember, and it was like, I was like the only white dude on the movie, right? They used to call me Cabron and Güero, right? So I remember saying to one dude, it was like Spike Lee's producer. I'm like, all the shit that I've ever heard about Compton is like, it's third world, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but this is like really, really beautiful here. And he's like, yeah, it's great. But when the sun goes down,
right,
don't be here. And I was like, oh, so it's almost like two different worlds. It's like a weird, like,
what do they call them? Sunset cities or sunset towns?
Yeah. And as I'm,
Don't get
I was,
caught after sunset.
I was late that day, and I was like driving out as the sun's setting, and I'm like, I see it behind me. It's like you see it scurrying across the street in the rear view, and I'm like, holy shit, he was right.
To get ahead.
I'm like, just stop turning red. Stop having lights turning red. Get me out of here. It seems, but I don't think that shit's not here to the degree that it would be in Compton. I mean, most of the neighborhoods around here are just hardworking people who just can't catch a fucking break.
That's it.
So, and they get
stigmatized, and then they get placed into.
They
that
are
box.
no smarter or dumber than anybody else in the city.
No,
there's no reason I find it interesting. Like do you know who the two most vaccine hesitant groups were during the whole vaccine thing in America?
No,
the two most hesitant ones were PhDs and black people.
Oh yeah, well, do you
know why? Because the PhDs could read the studies, and the black people are like, I don't fucking trust.
I don't trust anything you're trying to give me. Right.
I don't trust any of that. So they don't even have like politicians or elected officials just knocking on the door saying, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? How are we screwing you this time?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Why is it that they don't do that?
I mean, honestly, I don't know why they don't. There's a benefit to it because they're still your neighbors.
I know.
I mean, they still should have a chance to voice their opinion or their concern. You know, why do we have to just go to Greenridge and West Scranton and
that's where the donors are.
Manuka? You know,
yeah.
Why do we have to just go to those three places?
Yeah, they're not bad places. You know, good for them.
Good,
but
I mean, but listen,
they're still part of the pie.
Let's get to the projects. You know, let's go there. These low income, families who they need resources. They still pay their taxes. You know, it's not like they're not taxpayers. Like, let's not confuse it where everybody's just a bad person who lives in low income housing.
Right.
You know, that's help.
Yeah.
That's what we're giving them. But they still have a vote. They still have a right to vote, and they still have they should still have an opportunity to sit with an official or a public servant face to face and say, either I don't trust you, or I don't like you, or what have you done for me lately? Or listen, I think this is what we need to do. You know, if I had my opinion, this is how we should do this, and this is what we need to focus on for our community. Because everybody, they advocate for their own community, but who's doing it for the low income, minority? You know, and it doesn't even have to be minority. I mean, there's a lot of white people,
sure,
that are in low income.
That's why I keep thinking about Virgil's fucking "I Have a Dream" speech, because he's like, what's the right? Republicans in general have this stigma right now that kind of started growing in 2012, where it was like racist, white supremacist,
yes,
all this shit. I kind of bought into it at the beginning, and then like quietly I was like, but I know like conservatives who are like really great people. They're charitable. They'll give you they don't care who it is. They'll answer their phone. They'll talk to you. They'll wait on the corner.
That's what's fed to us.
I think a lot of politicians who are conservative got nervous because like in communities like that, right? Just as much as like the politician is like the stereotypes,
right?
They also probably think like those people don't like me. You know, that group of people isn't going to like me. And I think that that's wrong. I think that they're wrong about that.
It should be.
I think that most politicians
wrong about that.
I think that those people don't dislike you. I think if you go talk to them, they will like you. They just don't know you.
They don't know you.
You haven't come to talk to them.
Absolutely.
So who with distrust? Who the hell is going to trust somebody they've never met?
Somebody's got to take the list. Somebody's got to take that leap of faith.
How do I get all these guys in those neighborhoods? Besides just like walking there without anybody being suspicious, like almost like an ambassador can. Is that a thing? Is that possible?
I mean, I could
community leader or something.
I could try to get him a pass.
A pass.
I know I'm good. I know I'm good.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in West Scranton, Riverside Projects. That's
for those who don't know, where's that by?
The old Southside Complex. The university took it over now.
Oh, okay. I know exactly where it is.
Baseball field and stuff there. I grew up there.
But there's like two churches there too.
Yeah, there was. We had Holy Cross. And we had, I believe it was St. John's.
We used to always play you guys in basketball.
Listen, it was great. It was great. I wish, I tell my wife all the time, I wish I could take my kids
back to the old neighborhood
to the projects.
Yeah.
And have them grow up with like that group of friends that we had, and those parents who were just as bad as your mom and dad.
Right.
You don't cuss out, somebody and let Miss Mary hear you, because you're going to get it.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get it from your parents, and you might get it twice on the way home.
But it's just like neighborhoods, man. You just build these communities.
Yep. And it was just like, my kids will never understand that. My kids will never understand just being able to go out and who are you going with?
The neighbor,
I'm going with Mark, or I'm going with Brandon or something. Like, okay, nothing like this. I'm like, who are you going with? Okay. What's your social security number? What's their father's ID number? Does he have his clearances? Does mother got their clearances?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I need to know. And I seriously need to know.
Did the world get more dangerous or did something else happen? I always think about that. I'm like, did people get like more dangerous? Because like I remember like when I was growing up, my parents would talk about hitchhiking.
Yes.
That was like not a big deal.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was like, that's dangerous. And then it's like, now your neighbor's dangerous. Now this is dangerous. Now don't talk to anybody. Stay on your phone. So I'm like, did it get more dangerous or did a bunch of weird circumstances happen to make us more afraid?
Maybe we realized just how lax our parents really were. And
I ended up all right.
And we were dangerous to ourselves back as youth.
Were you a bad kid?
I wasn't. Not
I like how when they roll their eye when they asked that and they I did light that cat on fire. And
I was mischievous, we'll say.
Right.
We would go out on our bikes.
So you're like a prankster.
We'd go up to like Scrub Road and set off fireworks.
So you never get caught.
Get away from everybody. But kind of the same deal that like we had a bunch of kids in the neighborhood and you all met on your bikes and you went out for the day.
Stand by me.
Yeah. And then
E.T.
Yeah, E.T.
So yeah, I mean, we got into trouble, but
yeah, but it wasn't like
from convenient.
Yeah, but that's not like trouble. That's just like adolescent nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like, I mean, how much, there was no trouble when you grew up, was there? Comparatively? Like, I think trouble is like, everybody's arrested and, where it's like, where we grew up.
No, I mean, but then again, even if you got in a fight back when I was a young kid, you would never get arrested.
No, we just fought it out and we left and we walked away.
And then if your dads had a problem with it, they went and fought each other. And then, you know what I mean? That was it. Then it was done the next day.
Yeah, everybody's all forgiven.
Friend off the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nowadays you can't say boo. Like you're not allowed to even remotely say something mean to somebody or you're getting, a charge.
Do you think that gets away from the idea of like
problem solving skills?
No, I think to me it's like, okay, so like when you take those things away, I think there's a diminishing of free speech.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And free speech also means the freedom to be an asshole, which is also like a bully or, but usually like for kids growing up, especially like in adolescence and to take on the bully or to fight it out and realize
learn how to be assertive.
Correct. And instead of being like, I remember what was that Hulk Hogan movie? Suburban Commando.
Yeah.
Remember Suburban Commando? No. Where, it was from the trailer and Hulk Hogan's there and he's like, hey buddy, get off my, he's like, what are you going to do? You're going to beat me up? And they're like, no, we're going to sue you. And I was like, I think that's the moment we all went like,
we're
screwed.
Yeah.
We're screwed because now we've opened up an industry for more lawyers to make more money for more stupid shit.
There's a side of it though too that like the people talk so much shit, but you only talk so much shit until somebody punches you in the mouth.
Right.
You don't have that anymore. So people don't know that ramification of like, that went too far. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have issues with people with bad self-esteem then. And then we have young youth, suicides,
and
what I mean?
Overly sensitive.
And there should be no reason why grade school students should have to feel such despair that they're alone and everybody's picking on them because they can't just go punch that bully in the mouth.
Right. Off the school property,
but just say, hey, listen, you keep picking on me. I'm feeling some type of way, but next thing you know, we have a funeral.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because it was too much.
Because it was just too much and they felt like they had no way out. And that's a shame. I will never allow my child to be a victim like that. I refuse.
So you think it's an encouraging of a victimization? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to understand.
I think that we're at a point in the world where you can't be, what was considered a macho person. Like you can't be assertive. You can't be self-assured. If you have a child, I had my kids in boxing. My son was 5. Just to discipline, not to learn how to punch somebody in the mouth, but just it's an outlet.
Defense and discipline. What's wrong with that?
It's defense. Being able to adequately defend yourself
Yeah.
if need be. And people are like, why are you doing that? They're 5 years old. Well, do you still have them brush their teeth? Do you tell them to brush their teeth twice a day?
Yeah.
You're forcing that. Why can't I try to instill in my children, combat sports? We can play football and soccer all day. Why can't we do jujitsu? Why can't we do boxing? Why can't we do wrestling? Wrestling's okay because it's a school sport. We support that. But just send them to the boxing gym and have them go through stuff, or send them to jujitsu.
Do you send them to jujitsu?
Not yet. I don't think they have the attention span.
Did I tell you I started doing it?
Did you? Where at?
I do it down the street every morning at 6 a.m.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I've only been there like 3-4 weeks, but
Nice. Listen, it's awesome.
Yeah, but you know what it is? I was thinking about it. I was like, it's cardio, right? It is defensive, and there's like a camaraderie amongst everybody.
And your mental state will change completely.
Yes.
It's like a drug.
Yeah. And it's not like this machismo stuff where it's like, I have a 12-pound, you know what I mean?
You're humble.
It's very humbling.
It centers you. And that helped me a lot in life.
Yeah. Like, so Thursday they did, and it's like everyone there is from every walk of life, and no one is better or worse than anyone else.
I tell you what, the little kid, skinny kid, 100 pounds with the glasses that looks like Harry Potter.
Yep.
He will make you tap out.
There is a 17-year-old girl there who kicks everybody's ass, and she's fearless.
There's no room for pride there.
No, none. I mean, it's fun, but it's like one of those things. Like you almost feel like it's like being a kid again, where you're like, oh, I'm outside playing with my friends and doing talking about shit. And I think
it takes you away from the everyday stressors.
Well, you're in the mental. You're in mental health, behavioral health. What are you in?
Studying in behavioral health. Okay,
so I'm incredibly interested in the mental health and the behavioral health and politics and sociology, because it's always like the understanding of people, right? Why is a person smart but people are dumb? You know what I mean? Like if I have a conversation with a single person, we get along famously, everything's good. With a group of people, there's very quick to be like, no.
It's the crowd mentality.
Yeah. So why, like I try to always understand those things. Why does objective reason leave a crowd? And I think we're going to look in the future and look at probably the last 100 years of mental health in this industry as like the dark ages.
Yes.
For what we've allowed to happen.
It's like we're regressing.
Yeah.
We're really just taking a step backwards, and we're trying to dumb ourselves down. Like the goal of progress is to.
I'm not saying we're trying, but that's where it's leading. It seems like that's where it's leading.
So somebody from the outside, it seems like we're trying to like the dumbification of America. Like we've always been the big superpower, the macho, the beautiful, the smart, the handsome, everything.
Yeah, self-respect.
And now it's like, oh, well, we need to rein that back in. And now we need to humble ourselves more. And by doing that, we have to just take drastic steps and changes and implement changes to where you can't say this. You can't do that. You can't think like this. If you're not thinking like this, then you're an ism. You're somebody. You're an ist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Like you keep on always trying to group people. And you can't group everybody. We're all unique. We might both like a certain person, but you might like them for different reasons than I like them.
Right.
You know what I mean? We might dislike somebody for different reasons. And same thing with a thought or an idea. But they try to always group. And it's got to be for the group, the common good, the group. Stop putting people in groups. Because the group mentality, like you said, it's like, no, get away, shame. You know what I mean? And you can't do that. You keep on alienating people until what? Only people who think like you exist?
That's dangerous.
What is going on there?
Yeah.
What are you ever going to achieve? Okay, you became a king of your castle. But your castle is like very...
full of NPCs.
Yes. Like,
everybody's
I don't
the same.
understand it. Everybody's the same exact cutout. Carbon copy of each other.
So that's what I see. That's what I see politically, where it's like, if both my grandfathers fought in World War II.
Right.
One fought in Europe, the other one fought in the Pacific. They both did vastly different things. They both saw some shit.
Right.
But there was look, most of the time I think wars are about rich people's plans and not actually what is going on. And, you know, anyways, when it comes that group stuff, it was like the individuality of that time, right? So that would it allowed people to think outside the box. Mm-hmm. It allowed people to be unique. It allowed people and know, like, all right, we have to come together as a group for a common goal, not for a common thought.
Right.
You know, and it seems like that's kind of like a diametrically opposed idea to what innovation or progress, as you said before.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think, you know, when I grew up, it was like, you know, all these people in charge are smarter than you.
Right.
And I'm like, not anymore.
Not anymore.
I don't think you're smarter than me. And as a matter of fact, you probably weren't smarter at the time. You know, they just hired the right person to do it, not an idiot.
Right.
And the group stuff, you know, where it's like, you have to be in a box of like Democrat, Republican, liberal, QAnon, gay, straight, cis, bi. It's like
human.
All you're doing is you're creating more arrow bullseyes.
Yep.
So people can shoot you with thoughts or ideas to dismiss you.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're labeled with that, you are dismissed. It's like an assassination without a bullet. Like we talked, I think you saw that Ushu one. We talked about that in his country, the Congo.
Yep.
And if there's people, I don't think I'm a really smart person, but I'm not dumb. And I think that there are smart people in powerful and intelligent places who can look at the situation and for some reason can't see like this is where this leads. Mm-hmm. And so let's let it continue. It's almost like if there's a leak in the dam, they're allowing it to happen. It's not to say like, oh, we're going to wipe out this whole town because we don't know what that leak's going to do.
Right.
But unattended, it'll wipe out the whole town. And I don't know why, like there's this, I have my tinfoil hat ideas about why, but I can't logically talk to a person and be like, look, if this is like, if the only rational outcome of this is X,
right?
Why does someone not try to re-irrigate the stream so it can be Y?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Or are we still so afraid to talk that we have to speak in riddles?
Yeah, you can't do that. Yeah. You can't speak in riddles.
The vaccine is safe and effective, and I recommend everyone take it.
Yes, except for me. I have not.
Me neither. Oh, good. 3. Oh,
hey, yes. 3 for 3.
I just didn't trust
that anti-vax group.
Listen, and it's not even. You know, it has nothing to do with politics. It comes down to it. I'm not against vaccines. My children are vaccinated.
I'm now at a place where I'm like,
but it's to the point where you're not rushing something off the production line for me and saying, here you go.
No.
Now you need this and we go green. Get that? No, thank you.
Up until like 3 weeks ago, there's a vast millions of people who had no idea that there's no double-blind, random-controlled placebo trials on vaccines.
What?
The ones we've taken.
Yeah, no.
No one has, you know. And I'm not saying that they're unsafe.
Can't even provide them with you can't even provide them with the information. Like even when this stuff came out and it was approved through the FDA.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, listen, this is temporary. They want to see studies in 5 years.
Yeah.
Of like myocarditis and stuff like that because these occurrences have happened. And guess what's happening? Everything that we were saying, I don't want to take it yet because I want to see how this plays out. I don't want to grow a third eye. You know, we don't know what's coming.
Yeah, or I don't want to take a shit and have a heart attack.
Right. I want to make sure that what's going on, that they study it and then they get it right. And then I'll take it. You get it right, I'll take it. You know, but I'm not just going to go ahead and leap. I'll never 100% trust the government.
Why? In a situation like that, why did everybody?
I think everybody needed the savior. Everybody needed the solution. Everybody just wanted to get the hell out of the house.
But everybody was like, Superman's coming, but you got evil Superman, and it's like, yeah, but he's still coming.
But
and
he's
it's
still
like,
from the Krypton.
Yeah. He's still from Krypton, and it's like, no, he's going to come destroy everything.
Yeah, everybody just wanted out. Everybody wanted to try to get back to normal.
Here's the thing that it took me a few months to learn during COVID. Anybody could have at any time.
Yep.
Walked outside. Mm-hmm. Said no to the mask. Said no to putting the mask on their kids. Said no to fucking shutting down. I mean, how many gyms? Mm-hmm. How many hair salons? How many restaurants went out of business?
Gyms given
for what?
What was that? 10 Times Fitness or Anytime Fitness over in Taylor?
X Fitness.
X Fitness. That's what it was.
Yeah,
And they
I
were
was
like,
I was telling all these guys, I was telling all these businesses, I'm like, eventually you will realize that what I've been telling you is correct.
Mhm.
And when the lawsuits are out there, it's going to be believed at that time that that's what it's 18 months from now.
Right.
Take all the fines you want. They can't enforce it when everybody's like, yeah, that it never worked.
Mm-hmm.
And they threatened everybody. They threatened every salon with pulling their licenses.
Yep.
They threatened, it was the occupancy. They were going to take all their occupancies. You're not allowed to have anybody in here if you don't listen to what we're telling you. And meanwhile, like Micah on this show,
Yeah.
his son, that's how I met him. His son had a cancer when he was a child. He had like a 1% chance of survival, his son. Needless to say, his son's amazing now, basketball player and an asshole.
Right.
But
Hey, there we go.
he has to go back down to like chop and stuff like every year to get a checkup, blah, blah, blah. So when COVID hit, like Micah was like, holy shit, like my kid has cancer. He's a survivor of cancer. Micah ran into his pediatrician. The pediatrician's like, not a problem. And this is like March 20th of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And the pediatrician was like, you have nothing to worry about. Go on with life as normal. He's fine.
Right.
Why?
They needed
No one wanted to think. Everyone was stuck at home, and no one said, hey, let me read the statistics on this to see if I'm all right.
People were stealing toilet paper.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
And watching Tiger
fighting
King.
and watching Tiger King. This was such a dark age of our lives. I'm glad
The gay criminal is the one we need to, whose every husband like shot himself.
in the history, and we're going to be like, yes, the pandemic, and
I can't
COVID-19, and our kids are going to be like, yeah, I lived through it. But in the history books, like they're going to be putting Tiger King,
What happened? Yeah, it's like the
riots.
Nazis saying that Tiger King happened during World War II. What was happening? We watched Tiger King.
Let's
Let's not talk about the pandemic.
My kids have T-shirts that say I survived COVID from
Do they really?
from school. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the schools gave them out to every kid for free.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with the Nuremberg Code?
Yes.
We violated every fucking thing. Everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing. The things that we learned.
We give it up freely.
I know.
We are not allowed to challenge.
That's
if we
not-
challenge the establishment, it's over for us. They will bury us.
I mean, the thing is like, I don't know how anybody can sit around right now and go like, things are going great. Things are going great. The only people who can say that are the ones who have money.
Who have money, exactly.
Right? The middle class is disappearing, which means that all you're going to have is upper class and serfs.
Yep.
That's it. You're going to have slaves, and you're going to have people who tell the slaves what to do. The ones who are going to tell the slaves what to do are like, I don't see a problem with what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones underneath are like, I lost my job. My kid now has fucking severe development issues and severe emotional issues.
Mm-hmm.
We had to move because we couldn't afford our house anymore. We lost our mode of transportation. Like, it's really quick and easy to see how many people are homeless right now.
Yep.
Because of the butterfly effect of foolish mistakes that were made to feel good.
To feel good. Yep. What was it? Ben Franklin said, to the General Assembly, right? Of Pennsylvania, those willing to give up
Their
a little bit of
freedoms.
freedom for security deserve neither. We gave up everything.
Yeah.
The grocery store workers were now essential workers.
Yeah, and they were all 80.
And they were all of the targeted, what were they? High, I don't know, what was it? What is the term?
The essential workers?
The essential workers, but they were like
the high
worst.
risk.
High risk community.
Yeah.
Like, stay away from your grandparents.
risk. That's what they call people.
Oh, they were at risk.
Yes,
That's what it was.
You can't visit your grandparents.
But they can
see them through the window.
But they can check out your bananas.
Yep, absolutely.
Isn't that fucking insane? Like, when you think about it, when you think about that in hindsight, you're like, oh my God, they wouldn't let people visit their grandparents, but they allowed their grandparents to sell them Skittles.
I mean, that's a lot of the shit that drove us crazy, though, as we sat around we lived in a bubble and we kind of did what we wanted to do.
Yeah, we had to build our own like COVID community of non-crazy people.
And we just sit around and talk about like, this is fucked up that like you could go to Walmart and there's people here and like they all have to be here, but my friend's store has to be closed.
Yeah. It's absolutely. Small businesses got shut down.
And they were gobbled up by big businesses.
Big businesses came right in and took them right back.
So the bully got bigger and
we're not allowed to punch a bully in the mouth.
That's weird, ain't it?
Can't be. You're not allowed to beat up the bully. You can't do it anymore.
Can I send you that Al Sharpton thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see this yesterday? Are you a fan of Twitter?
I do not have Twitter.
Dude, get on Twitter. It's awesome.
Everybody says that. I don't have time.
Until everyone realizes that it was a scheme for everybody to do their social media, their content creation, their banking, and their picture sharing, and then they realize, oh my God, we foolishly put everything on one platform under one guy. It's like
yeah.
So they're all like, we want to decentralize everything, and everyone else is like, let's get on Twitter and spend our money. And it's like, guys, like, be careful of what is coming for you.
Because Elon is too smart.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, look, I don't. Here's the. I'm friendly with people of all political persuasions, even the ones who would be considered right wing lunatic. Yeah, they're not. Oh. They're good people. At the end of the day, they care about like freedom and stuff like that. But if
you're an American, why wouldn't you?
Dude, I'm with you.
That is our foundation.
And it sounds crazy, but it's like, these are like, if you hang out with these people, like, they are not evil people. No, like, none of them are. They're frightened. They're frightened about what's happening. They see things that, like, who would have ever? I would have never thought that in 2023 I'd be like, how many things was Alex Jones right about? That's the world we're living in. Where it's like, and everyone else is like, no, he's a Nazi, and it's like, no, dude, that dude ain't a Nazi.
Yeah.
He might be on a level that you're not at.
Yeah, you're not at,
yeah. I see, and that's why, like, I care so much about it, because I see, when I was growing up, I when I got into like marketing and advertising and video stuff like that, I remember somebody saying to me, like, and it was funny to me. He goes, when the world ends, Scranton still has 8 years.
Right.
Which means, like, that's how far behind they are.
Behind we are, yeah.
And I started looking at all the stuff going on, and I'm like, there's time. Like, we can make a change. We can, I don't know if you can stop the tsunami, but you can, slow it down or
try to
slow
it a little bit.
Yeah. And it seems like whatever's happening nationally, it really doesn't matter as far as like affecting here today. Later, yes.
Yep. It'll hit us next week.
Meanwhile, people don't give a shit about what happens in their backyard.
That drives me nuts.
Is that why you hopped in? Like, what was your moment where you're like, I hate the fact that I have to do this?
I'm tired of the same people. And it's not even the same people, but it seems like it's the same person just reincarnated. Our same leaders just reincarnated in Scranton.
Yeah, it's like
it's the same idea, which has gotten us nowhere. Which has like gotten us with, people going to jail, politicians who are leaders that we trusted with positions, ending up getting themselves jammed up, where you think about it down the line in Luzerne County, where we had judges, which we entrusted with the law and actually serving justice and helping children, getting indicted federally.
For selling, that was kids for cash, right?
Yeah. The wolf isn't just like the old wolf. Like back in the day, I would have been considered a wolf. I was a young kid, full of testosterone, thinking he was the toughest kid in the world, and had a lot of trauma that didn't know how to unpack it and deal with it. And I victimized people,
You did?
Yeah, absolutely. And,
is that because you were afraid? Like, you have hindsight now.
Like looking back at it, like after maturing and growing up and, counseling, which everybody, if you need help, like you should absolutely reach out.
You and I are going to differ on how to counsel people.
But, read
my hat.
No, absolutely. And you know what? That's better than, giving a subscription for Vicodin. I'm really concerned about the medicines that we are actually giving children. I don't like pill form medication.
Go on a hike. Take jujitsu.
Yeah. We have so many natural remedies.
But that doesn't solve everything.
No. I mean, but it helps. It helps alleviate a little bit. That's when we have to rely on ourselves to learn and grow and say, okay, I can't do this. Not because it's not right, but it's just because I can't internally handle feeling like this all the time. So I need to find my outlet. So it might just be taking a hike. It might be, going to jujitsu. It could be painting. It could be reading, could be drawing, could just be sitting there listening to music and vibing out.
So when you said you're full of testosterone and trauma, which that should be a t-shirt.
Right.
Can you tell me like a little bit about that? Was that from growing up, or
it was definitely just growing up at a young age. I didn't have it the worst. There's definitely people who had it worse than me. I mean, I couldn't imagine being in Ushu's place, but there was a lot of stuff that happened.
Can I tell you something real quick? You know what Ushu tells me? He goes, sometimes I think I was happier in the refugee camp.
Really?
Yeah. Because you know why? There's no unnecessary, like the stresses that they have is basically like, are we going to eat?
Right.
You know? So it's like, let's get our food. And he goes, they play, he learned like 7 languages while he was in there.
Yeah. That's a lot.
And he goes, and he feels guilty about saying it. He goes, sometimes I was happier in the refugee camp. And I'm like, why? And then, you know, when he tells me the reasons, it seems like really, and I think he thinks that they're stupid reasons. And I think that they're really human reasons. He goes, you know, I have the stresses of paying taxes. I have the stresses of keeping the apartment. He has 2 beautiful young children. He's got a wife. Although in that community they have multiple wives,
and you could buy one,
and there's a trade. Oh yeah, it was. Did you listen? If you get to that part where it was like we started talking about virgin brides and shit,
we can't have that here.
Apparently, it's happening.
We can't have that here. That is not right.
Yeah, I'm still. He's gonna invite us to the one negotiation for the brides, and hopefully he'll narrate for me.
That'll be awesome.
But
just
I think,
experience something different like that.
But like to talk to somebody like Ushu, it's supposed to give us as Americans a little bit of perspective.
Yes.
A little bit of like, what is important? You know, is it TikTok? Is it being an influencer? Is it I think there's a lot of, so when he says there's not stresses, I mean, I think about like the children today and the stresses that they're under that don't need to be there. Right. That don't need to be a part of their life to be a good human being and to be a good person. Because that's what it's about. There's no like, this sci-fi movie of, you know, what society is I think a fallacy, because I think, you know, we're just the Middle Ages with fluorescent lights right now. It's just we're getting dumber. I don't know why I went on that tangent. Sometimes I have emotions and I'm like, I thought about Ushu. Ushu's a really good example of what like this area needs is people with his kind of mentality about like, you know, perspective. They don't have it around here. Like, I think like when you say like kids should get punched in the mouth, not like they should, but like that was a rite of passage, you know? I think there's a value there that can't be taught in a classroom or some sort of environment. Like that's just something like, it's a hard knock life. You gotta learn that early. All right, didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Trauma and what?
Testosterone and trauma.
Testosterone and trauma.
We're going to make a shirt.
Yeah.
But no, okay. So as a youth, my early formative years were very traumatic, rough. My father wasn't in the picture. My mother was an addict. And
did you have brothers and sisters?
I had plenty.
I mean, that were biological or just part of the...
Yeah, I guess. I don't have any full. I have a lot of halves.
There's no like same mom and dad. It's
like same mom or same dad.
How many would you say that you have? Would that be the half brother? Is that what they call half brother, half sister?
Yeah, halves.
How many half brothers and half sisters do you have? If it's over 10, I'm going to shit myself.
No, it's not that much.
He's like 72. Really. And I'm like, oh my God. 7, 9,
6.
We're just going to keep throwing numbers out here.
Okay. So, to my knowledge, blood-wise, I have 8 halves.
Which is either mom or dad.
So, yeah. So, that's either mom or dad. Majority mom.
She Irish?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
perhaps.
My mom comes from a family.
Multiply.
Oh, that's their game. They really don't like condoms.
Yeah, they're allergic. And then
that's the devil's rubber.
1, 2, 3. Then I got 4 step siblings from my father.
So what's that, 12?
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Do they all have kids?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6,
how many nieces and nephews
7.
do you have?
Believably, not a lot. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
So 12 and 12.
10 and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 and 12. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to know. Yeah. We went off. He's now done his family tree.
Yeah. Right. Do you want names too?
I have a and then I have 2. So So yeah.
All right. So you grew up with a lot of, your dad was out of the picture and your mom was,
and
what was she
he
taking?
wanted to be out of the picture. It was just more of I get varying stories from the situation. Yeah. So one was, she just like smoking and hanging out. She was a young girl. She had me very young, and my dad was a little bit older. Yeah, I'm her oldest. Now, my stepbrother Josh is actually the oldest out of all of us.
Okay.
But out of because I don't do steps. Like I say step, but like that's my brother. I grew up with him from 8 years old. I'm was 35. Like that's my brother.
I'm just trying to figure out the lineage.
Yeah. So Josh would be the oldest, 37, and I'm 35.
Okay.
So, and then the youngest would probably be 25. The very youngest.
Like 17 years of making kids.
Hey, be fruitful and multiply. Replenish.
So you heard, why was he out of the picture? Because you said it wasn't mostly his decision.
Again, I could
just talk about this. You don't have to talk about that.
I don't want to give false information. So I can just give
we're
what
not
I
going
know.
to fact check you, man.
I just don't want feelings coming
get
out.
Names and addresses.
It's your life story. So just like
you would never know. You were 6 months old. You have no idea.
All right, cut to the camera to me. Family, if you're watching this, do not hold him responsible for the thesaurus in his head of family stuff. All right.
So she liked to rip and run. She was young.
I know what that means. Yeah.
She likes to just get and go. Like responsibility was just like, whatever, man. A kid, I'm 16. Like you're freaking crazy.
Yeah.
And like my mom was a teen mom before it was cool to be a teen mom.
Yeah. Before MTV started to make sure you got a contract in a TV show.
And so I guess like things just didn't work out between my dad and my mom. And like there was just some things. So she just up and left, took me. And from what I understand,
how old were you?
This was a baby, I would say.
Like an infant.
Like an infant.
Okay.
And then we would get into like where I actually start remembering things in my mind.
Uh-huh.
And I just remember having a stepdad who I didn't have the same last name as, and I was like 4 years old. And, I had a brother and a sister, and we lived in a house, whatever. But like we were like locked in a room, like me and my brother.
Your earliest memory is being locked in a room.
And I remember we had a cat. We had a little porta potty. We had a window, and it was me and my little brother, and like literally locked from the outside in the room.
This is how you treat gerbils.
And I remember peeing.
And your brother's 2 years older than you.
No, this was my little brother. Like this, I didn't meet my stepbrother yet. Okay. So this is like my half brother.
All right.
From the marriage with my stepdad.
Okay.
My mom and my stepdad. And I remember having issues with like peeing in the bed and stuff like that. And number one, we're locked in a room. I mean, there was a little potty there and a crib and a mattress and a standing tall dresser and 2 windows. And I'll never forget it, a Ninja Turtle poster that still had like the glass on it.
Uh-huh.
And so some incontinence issues. I was young. I was 4 years old. 3, maybe 4. Maybe 3, but 4. This is what I remember traumatically. And my stepfather came in and was mad because I peed the bed. So grabbed scissors. And like that's you can just imagine what goes on next. So one day I tried to make an escape.
Wait, you're 3 or 4?
Yeah.
How long did this go on?
That was the only time that situation happened.
No. I mean, but being locked in the room.
Oh, until CYS came.
How old were you then?
I mean, it could have been a couple months.
That's a long fucking... Wait, there was no interaction?
Like, no. Like, it was like I said, I was trying to make an escape. Like, but if you're like 4 years old and you're plotting like Tommy Pickles out of the Rugrats, and you don't even know who this kid was, you've never watched it.
John just made me laugh at tragedy.
And it was like, you go, and I remember my little brother, and I'm not stupid.
Yeah, but even at like 3 or 4 years old, you're like, I need to escape this.
So we open the window. You got the little back porch roof there.
Uh-huh.
You have the clothesline that's attached right there. You were
going to Mission Impossible your way out of there.
Mission Impossible our way. Try to sling it down to where we got to the post and slide down the post.
At 4.
because we wanted to play outside and we couldn't be stuck in the room no more. We had to get out. So I convinced my brother, who's like a year and a half younger than me, still in diapers. It's a sin. I shouldn't laugh. I said, hey, Bonehead, go ahead. You go ahead. Just sit there, grab onto the roof, grab onto the line. And it's crazy because this sounds like at 4 years old, you're not thinking critically like this. Like, we can do this.
Physics really isn't a thing.
And, excuse me. And I'm like, so you got to do, as soon as you grab on the line, it's going to let you go. Like, then you go, we're free. And I just remember his hands and he tried to let go. And he's just diaper.
Yeah.
That's it.
Skin and diaper.
Skin and diaper. And all I remember is his head. Like, cause he would, I don't know, his eyes looking at me like he knew, like, oh, fuck. Like, I can't hold on.
Oh my God. It's like the shot in Cliffhanger.
And he fell into a pile of rusty tools.
Rusty fucking tools?
Yeah. So I run back inside. I'm screaming, banging on the door because he is screaming. I've never heard somebody scream like that before in my life.
Oh.
Banging on the door. Door gets kicked open. What the F do you want? What's the problem? I was like, Tony, downstairs, outside. Now it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Now they're running downstairs, outside, trying to put him in a tub with some, peroxide and stuff like that. And
oh my God.
And I remember looking at the stove and I seen this pot that they cooked hot dogs in. So, you got the water still sitting there. It's hot dog water. And I remember while my mother was yelling at me about how could I let him go out and play on the roof, I'm remembering I'm starving.
Yeah.
Like, I need something to eat.
Right.
He's crying. She's yelling. My eyes are on the pot of water. Most disgusting thing you'll ever taste in your life. Do not recommend overnight
hot dog water.
Try it. At 4 years old, that was like, I need that. Like, it's going to taste so good.
This is your mom. She wasn't feeding you, or?
It's more along the lines of.
Did you know what was going on in the house while you were in the room?
No. And I didn't start learning what like the stuff that went on until we lived on North Sumner. And I was going to Charles Sumner School for elementary school. And I finally meet my dad for like the first time.
You finally meet your dad.
In my mind. I'm sure I've met him earlier, but like this time, like it resonates. Like, this is the first memory I have of my father.
Right.
Cool dude. Got a little scruffy face going on. Got the hair back, looking like what's his name from The Outsiders?
Oh, like fucking Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez, Patrick Swayze.
No, not Rob Lowe. No, what was the troublemaker? Let's do it for Johnny, man.
Emilio?
What the?
Oh, you know who it was? It's like a 3-name thing. C. Thomas Howell? Tom Cruise? I've named pretty much everyone in this movie.
Except for one guy.
All right.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon was not in The Outsiders.
Not Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Jeez. What's his name?
Hold on, I got this.
Dylan.
Oh.
Dylan?
Hold on. The Outsiders?
Outsiders.
The Outsiders. We're doing all this work just to show
just
how
to like give you
is.
like how like my first thought of my dad.
Matt Dillon.
Matt Dillon. Yes.
Matt Dillon.
Matt, whatever. Listen, I'm trying to be a champion for the people. I can't know everybody.
Richard Grieco. Okay.
But yes. So that's how he looked to me. Like
he looked like Matt Dillon in The Outsiders.
Yep. Had the hair back, had the same bone structure in the face, had the leather jacket on. He smelled like winter fresh gum. He was chewing winter fresh gum. And I remember the first time my mom's like, you know who that is, boy. Go give him a hug. And I remember walking up to him and he gave me a hug. And I remember smelling that smell, feeling his scruffy face, and then a sickness in my stomach.
Really?
Because like, who is this person and why are they hugging me? Like, I didn't know.
It was your dad.
Like, love. Like,
oh my God.
Like, in my mind, like, that's uncomfortable. Like,
affection.
Nurturing me.
Yeah.
Like,
Affection.
You're going to hug me? Are you kidding me? Like, I've been hugging my pillow, crying for 5 years. And now
human contact.
Now you're hugging me. So, it was rough. And so, like, I had a lot of traumatic experience. Like, we can have a 8-hour long.
I'm sure there's
conversations,
1,000 more
with
like
foster
that.
care and everything else, and like a lot of trauma. But long story short, this isn't a pity party, but that's just the background. So I had a lot of trauma, trusting people, trusting women, even knowing how to interact with other people, like just to have a regular relationship, friendly conversations, and
like be a pal.
There was always what's your ulterior motive?
In your mind.
What are you going to do to hurt me?
Okay.
Right? Why are you talking to me? Like, why do you want to be my friend?
Right.
So I had a lot of stuff where I didn't trust anybody. Didn't trust my dad. Didn't trust my new family. You know, my dad's, you know, the kids, my stepbrothers, my stepmom. And then there was another baby brought in. You know, I lost two other siblings to foster care. They both got adopted out. Both doing very well now. Then it was just a lot of stuff because you felt like I was my mother's oldest. So her babies were my babies. You know, I'm going to make sure that they're all right. I am their protector. Don't yell at my little brother. You know, kid, how many beatings I got for telling my mother, don't you yell at him, or trying to stick up for him, or just taking him because I know that he couldn't take it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, like the abuse, the physical, you could beat me all day. It's not going to bother me. You know, mentally, it messed me up, but I was used to the pain. So there was a lot of stuff.
Is that a thing? You can get used to that pain, like the physical pain.
Physical pain, and then you just numb yourself out to the mental pain. It's just like,
how do you do that?
Honestly, it's a switch. It's like a switch.
Okay.
So with my kids, I can never turn off that switch.
Good.
Right. I love my kids to death. I love kids, and I hate kids who are exploited or hurt or aren't given opportunities.
We don't hate those kids. You hate,
I hate
that happens.
That happens to those kids that they don't get the opportunities that they need, that they don't get the support. And it might not even be the parents' fault. It's just circumstance.
Sure.
But I can't stand that. And so I can never turn it off with that.
Yeah.
But, you know, my wife can cheat on me now, dude. And I'd be like, I don't feel that.
But eventually you will, won't you? Like, don't you think eventually it'll affect you?
I think from all the stuff that I had to deal with, you figure I didn't finally get through with counseling and all my unpacking all of my trauma and finding out like the deepest, darkest secrets of myself to where I cry like a baby. You know what I mean?
Right.
To understand that it'll come out one way or another. And whether you feel it now or it's going to come out by you victimizing somebody else. And you're going to feel it in another way. And then when you have to unpack it, maybe it might be 20 years down the road, you're going to hate yourself for it.
So victimizing someone else. In other words, like, did you do that in your youth?
Oh, yes.
If you victimize other people?
Yes, absolutely. Fighting.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, was it malicious or was it more like?
Sometimes I would just pick it. You know, it was just like, you know what? And it would never be like a bully type. It would be more like,
I'm just gonna
that
start
guy
some shit
just
right
thinks this guy, like he just over there always picking on on the young kids.
Yeah.
Like, why is he picking on the young kids?
Right.
Why are you gonna pick on that guy? Okay. So, you know, I was very smart with the mouth.
Right.
So once it was, my dad taught me, you fight and somebody says something slick to you. Then once you started doing that, it was, no, you can't do that no more. You get arrested if they put their hands on you. Well, now I'm forced to put your hands on me because I'm going to say something that you're not going to like. And I know that you can't control that. Excuse me.
So you're trying to reach an outcome and you know how to make it happen.
I know how to make it happen.
Yeah.
I know how to get you to jump. And then I could do it. Win, lose, or draw, I didn't care. It was just like, oh, okay, I feel better now. You know what I mean? Like, you're not just going to go out there and pick on that kid anymore.
Because you're either getting a victory or it's it's a
release.
It's almost like masochistic. Like I deserve to get my ass
deserve
kicked.
to get beat up.
Yeah.
Right.
So either way you win. It's just two different feelings.
Yeah. That's how it was.
So you just pick fights.
Even in relationships.
You pick a fight in a relationship over something stupid, probably.
Oh my gosh.
All the time, right? I've done it.
I remember with my wife, she is.
I still do it.
My wife is, I don't know how she deals with me. But back in earlier,
she's a good lady, man.
In our relationships and in a couple previous relationships, man, like the jealousness, never not feeling good enough.
From you.
Yes. Like, I just never felt good enough. So who are you cheating with?
Yeah.
Why are you dressed up? I was at work all day. What do you have makeup on? Like, who are you trying to impress? Who's here? You know what I mean? Like, just a stupid, young, I don't know.
Is that insecurity?
Absolutely. 150% for me it was. Absolutely. I didn't know how to trust women.
I think that comes from fear.
It was, yes.
Yeah.
Fear of being left.
Yeah.
You know,
abandoned.
left and abandoned and alone. And that was absolutely 100% me. And so this is just me raw, like, not politically. This is just me, who I was raw.
Yeah.
Right. This is before who
That's why we're here,
today,
man. We're talking raw.
Like,
yeah.
We're raw.
Eddie Murphy.
So, yes. What have you done for me lately? But But no, I mean, I did like a lot of stupid things and created a lot of problems for myself in my relationships where I've had, great girlfriends coming up through the years. And it was just, I didn't know how to handle that.
Right.
I didn't know how to handle being a cohesive unit, or like there not being an agenda or an ulterior motive. Like you're not just, you didn't wake up today and say, you know what, we're going to get on the podcast and I'm just going to crush John Howe. You know what I mean? But 10 years ago, I'd be like, why does he want me on the podcast? No, what does he want to talk about? I want to know beforehand what we're talking about, because I want to see where he goes. And if he goes
where
left,
I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he goes left, I'm just going to walk out. You know what I mean?
So okay.
That's 10 years ago.
So what I think that is that's planning for a disaster.
Right. You're setting yourself up. You're already going in with a bad idea.
Yep.
And like when we came in today and you're like, all right, so like, how are we going with this? I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like whatever way it goes, we take the turns. And,
you don't have to be gentle with that, man.
I know,
like
but
I'm like you.
Yeah, I've like already like halfway ripped it out 3 times.
Yeah, just get it comfortable, whatever you want, man. And if you hit it, I don't give a shit.
But back then it was never like that. And then I had to realize like it's not my fault. I was like that. It's not my wife's fault. It's not anything. It's just the things I experienced at a young age. I didn't know how to articulate and express, so I couldn't go to the guidance counselor. First thing they tell you, what happens in this house, it stays in this house.
Right. You
know what I mean? And then I've been in foster care, and back then a couple foster parents weren't the greatest.
Now, what do you mean? So like I'm going to ask you this because of this, right? So in this area, there's this thing going on with the OYFS, the Office of Youth and Family Services, right? Which is, I guess, the county's version of CYS.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to, I feel the same way you do about children, right? So I've been paying attention to this thing, and I'm curious about this. The situations, there's two things I want to know. I want to know how the situation was for you. And then I'd like to know what you think the situation is for the people who try to help, like the CYS or, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So what was it like for you in foster care?
And
how does that work? I don't think most people know how it works.
Okay, so my very first memory of getting taken out, I was laying on my uncle's
you get taken out because somebody comes in and says, we need to take this child away.
Something's going on in this house. There's neglect, or there's abuse, or there's something going on that is not, it's not a good environment for the child. So I remember,
you had to be in a pretty terrible situation for them to do that.
Yeah.
They try to avoid that, I think,
yes,
as much as possible.
Yes. Like they tried to, it's not just, my parents mad at me, they spanked my butt.
Yeah.
I got to go to a foster home. Like there has to be some
abuse or neglect.
Yes. That you will get pulled out.
Yeah.
So I remember 2 ladies, 2 cops walking in saying, okay, get up, buddy. You're coming with us.
How old are you?
About 4.
Okay.
And, so they took me, my one brother and my one sister. We were all living together at that point in time. My mom, my stepdad. And I remember sitting in a car and nobody wanted to take all of us at the same time. They tried to keep us, the siblings, together. Some places would take us, some places wouldn't. So we didn't really have a lot of time where we were together or we weren't. But I remember this one time we were together, and we were I remember like it was like Lion King was the rave, man. Like that was the thing. Like on TV, VHS, like that was it. And waterbeds were huge, and like it was just like in my mind, like I just remember I just can't wait to be king. You know what I mean?
I can't wait.
Like that was my thing. And even at a young age, I was just like, I'm going to be king one day. That really inspires you inside.
Sure.
Even though you really like, I feel like shit, I'm worth nothing.
Yeah.
I could be king one day. And that particular house, we were not allowed to eat with the foster parents' kids or the family at the table. So we're at a table. You would be over here on the floor. You would
on
get
the
your
floor?
Food. Yes. We would eat our food on the floor. And
at 4?
Yes.
So you just left a place that they were locking you up,
Yes.
and that you had to jump off a fucking roof.
We were getting fed.
Wow.
We were getting fed. You know what I mean?
Like what? Like was there?
And
was the food on a?
it was a plate. Like it wasn't
There
a
was a
doggy
plate on the
bowl.
floor?
Yeah, it wasn't like a dog. Like I didn't have a collar. But like you weren't that loud at the table. Like if like I had to stay in the basement. Like me and my brother and sister stayed in the basement. But you could hear the Lion King playing upstairs. And that's why like that song is like so strong because you start humming it in your head because you don't want to be too loud because you don't want to get yelled at. But, you know, summertime, they had an above ground pool in the backyard and it's hot. Here's me and my brother and sister sitting in the basement looking out.
You weren't allowed to swim in the pool?
Watching the kids play in the pool. We weren't allowed
What
to.
sort of fucking evil fucking dungeon
I think that
shit
some
is
people listen, but I've also had foster on the other side. I had Miss Mabel. She was the greatest foster mother. She was an old lady.
Yeah.
Single old lady. But she took me, my brother, and my sister, a little farmhouse, Chick Shinny. Wonderful. Wonderful lady. We were just too much for her. She was too old at that point in time to be able to keep up with the three of us.
Yeah.
You know. And she was awesome, man. Like she was great. Like homemade cookies and hugs and swing set.
Did you feel joy there?
I did. I felt like it was like a movie. Like, cause you look at the back, you got the cornfield.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then you got the swing set. And then you got that little house. You know, it wasn't nothing too major. It was a blue house. You know, little gravel driveway right there, big tree. And it was like picturesque. And it was like an old lady was like a grandma. And she was like the sweetest thing. But, you know, she couldn't handle us all at the same time.
Because you were too much.
Too much. And I was always really protective of like my little brother and sister.
Right.
I need to know what they're doing, where they're going. Why are they going to get shots? Who are they going with?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was much. Then we went with the Salts. I remember Mark and Diane Salt were our next foster parents, which that was all right too. But it was a give and take. But
how long did you do that?
Oh my goodness.
How old were you when you finally
up until I was 8 years old, my father got me. I was walking in the bars in like Duncan House Ave.
You were an 8-year-old walking into bars
looking for my mother.
Looking for your mom.
Yeah, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Hey, Skim here. How you doing? And my uncle see me, called my dad up, and my dad said, well, follow him. If he's there, then if he's walking there, he's got to live close by.
Right.
My dad's never seen me. He's always tried to get me. My dad, I remember he wanted to sue CYS because he was never informed that they put me in foster care.
Really?
Because
so he wasn't even an option.
They had my mother's husband at the time as my biological father.
No shit.
So they didn't tell my biological dad, who's been looking for me, searching for me, and that, hey, listen, we got him in foster care. Would you like a chance? And my dad's like, and he tells me all the time, he's like, John, I wish I just had that one chance. Imagine if I had you when you were 4 rather than 8.
Yeah.
Just one chance. They never gave it to me. So like he was really, and by the time he got me when I was 8, man, I was already grown mentally in my mind. I'm
you study behavior and all that stuff, right? So it's like up until
it's
7.
It's a fight or flight. So you learn.
So up until 7 years old is like your programming.
Yes.
So all your programming was trauma.
Right.
Holy shit.
And like I said,
John.
I don't blame anything that happened on like my mother or situations.
No, but I mean,
people have demons, man. And sometimes at a young age, when a person has kids at a young age, they don't realize the consequences of just going out and having sex.
Sure.
Unprotected sex, at that. And then a baby, everything just looks cute with a baby until you have to breastfeed that baby, especially a big boy like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I needed milk.
Woman passes small ox.
Right. You know what I mean? A 16-year-old at that. You know what I mean? Like, the size of this head, bud, it's over. Ruin you. But, it's, we have, you got to laugh, right?
Look at his head, bro. It'll ruin you.
Listen, Howe's, one thing about Howe's, right, is we all have these huge heads, man. Like our heads are just ginormous.
Head move.
Like that's how you know us. Like that's our trademark. We have big heads. All right. So that's like the joke. So when my dad hears this, he's gonna laugh. He's gonna laugh.
I'm gonna know where to spot you.
Then yeah. So it's just you're not ready for that transition to motherhood or to parenthood, period, as a father, a mother. But who hurts in the end?
The kids.
I didn't have my first kid until I was 25. I knew from a young age. I don't want to. You're never prepared for a child.
I agree.
Right. You can never save enough money. You can never take enough parenting classes. You can never watch your nieces and nephews enough to be ready to have a little body rely 100% on you.
Yeah.
And it changes your entire world, which is why I needed to go to counseling and fix who I was, because I didn't want my children to see what I considered was my monster.
So you could have taken two paths. You could have taken a path that was like, I was saying before about the dam.
Yes.
We know where this is going to go.
Right.
And odds are it's probably going to go that way.
Yep.
It seems like you chose to plug the dam. What made you make that choice?
I really had no choice. I loved my wife. Right.
Okay.
So
good.
I loved my wife.
The start
enough, because they say you can't make a change unless you want to do it.
Right.
Right. But you have to find that why. My whole life, it's like, yeah, I'd love to change. I'd love to be somebody everybody looks up to. The good guy, the hero. But, I really don't care. You have to find that why. And they say behind every great man is a great woman. It could be a great person. It could be, who is your why? At first, it was my wife. When she gave me the ultimatum, like she put me in jail.
She put you in jail?
Yeah, I went to jail.
What did, do you mind if
I threatened her.
How old were you, though?
I mean, this was 2014. So 10 years ago. 2013, 2014.
You wrote an angry, emotional text?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. And she's like, okay, buddy, here you go. Merry Christmas. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
But were you being a real piece of shit at that time, though? Or was it like jealousy?
It was the jealousy. It was like, why are you, you were supposed to be home an hour ago. Like, where are you at?
It was the insecurities from fear.
Everything that I've ever gotten in trouble for related to relationships is insecurity due to fear, abandonment. The biggest thing that I had to get over in my life was that feeling of gonna be abandoned.
Right.
Because from being a child, and felt like everybody abandoned me. And even when my father got me, I felt like he wasn't on my side.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He was trying to make you be okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
So it was, but no, yeah. So it was like, I had to work through all that. So it was absolutely insecurity. Like I don't know how I was able to, if it was me, I wouldn't put up with it. But my wife did, and she gave me the ultimatum. She said, listen, you're going to get help. All right. Like, your daughter's still a baby.
How old was she?
You're going to get help. She was 1 or 2.
Okay.
And she's like, you need to go to counseling. She's like, you need to figure out what's going on with you internally. She's like, because you're a great guy. But
every now and again you have that switch.
I'm not dealing with the Hulk. We're not playing Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde here. She's like, I'm not living like that.
And she has a background in behavioral health and all that stuff too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's been around it to understand it.
No. So she's like, you gotta fix you, man. So I went and I did. First you're macho. Man, listen, no, it doesn't bother me. And it's not that it doesn't bother me now, but as a kid, it was everything.
Right.
Needing that parent, needing that love, that affection, that attention. And you don't realize it because you don't understand it as a kid. You don't understand how to articulate it. Again, you don't know what it means, but you just know something's missing. There's a hole there. You're not supposed to feel like that.
Right. You
don't know why. And then you start thinking it's normal, but then you see other kids, and then you see, a commercial on TV, which is already sensationalized, but you see it and it's like, just, oh, well, parents giving their kids hot chocolate and give them a hug and a kiss and giving them a bedtime story. I don't think I've ever gotten a bedtime story in my life. You know what I mean? And
Ever.
just one thing I wanted as a kid,
So you carry all the stuff that you're like, they didn't give me that. They didn't give me that. They didn't give me this. They didn't give me that.
So
and you carry that all up into adulthood.
All the way through it. And you don't realize that's how you're starting to start your own relationships with people.
Yeah.
And you're starting to sabotage
They're not giving me
yourself.
what I want.
Sabotaging yourself. And they could be the greatest friends. But just your thought process of, they're going to hurt me. They're just, why am I going to waste my time when they're just going to abandon or leave me or do something to harm me in some way? So I always have to wear my armor.
And then sometimes it's like they don't give you the thing that you feel that they should give you, whether it's like a high five or whatever, and then you now are resentful.
Now you're resentful of it
because they didn't do it, and they didn't even know that they were supposed to.
Yeah, they gave Mark a high five, but
I didn't.
John, I didn't get my high five. Why did he get it, but I didn't?
Oh,
what's going on here?
You were angry, man.
Yeah, you angry. But no, I mean, it was really, and it was like I had such rage inside me, like, and I had to always portray what I wasn't, because it was a mask. Yeah. And it was like, I don't want you to see a sad little kid who's like 20 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want you to see the hardened, I don't give a fuck attitude. Like, nothing bothers me. Jail doesn't scare me. Fighting doesn't scare me. Getting shot doesn't scare me.
Did you get fucking shot?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've been cut, not shot.
It's like cut or stabbed. You don't have to macho it up. Just be honest. Either way, it sucks.
No, it was like, it depends on which you look, like the way you see it, because it was a knife, but is it like down in, or is it like ha? Like,
I don't think there's a difference, man. If somebody has intent to harm. I had my
skin broken by a blade. Let's put it that way.
All right.
But multiple times. But I mean, it's because you put on that facade. You put on what you want everybody to see to hide who you really are. So once I took off the mask, and I am who I am, and I don't care. I'll cry at my kid's graduation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm that hyped father, and I cry at other kids' graduations. You know what I mean? Just because I spend time with them, and I like to see them progress. I am who I am. I got to the point in my life a couple years ago where it's like, I don't care what people think.
I think that's freedom.
Like, I really don't. Like, I'm sorry for everything I've done in the past, and I hate that I waited so long to finally get to that point of like, I don't care what you think.
Right.
Because like, I really don't.
Because you know at your heart, you're a good person.
I'm a great person.
Yeah.
I am the best friend you will ever have. I will drop anything to help anybody if I have the opportunity to. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it other than I always want to be the person that you can rely on. Right. Because I felt like I didn't have it. Like that one person to rely on growing up, no matter what.
Right.
So for my kids, kids on the youth sports teams that I help coach, coaches, other coaches that I work with, students, people in the city, it doesn't matter. Like, we all need somebody to rely on. Right. And for me, not feeling like I had that growing up, I want to be that. I always want to be like, you know what, you can count on John. If I have a question, I'm going to count on John. If he doesn't know the answer, he will get to the bottom of it and he'll get back to me as soon as possible. And I won't have to sit here and wait a month to figure it out. So that's me. And I'm unapologetic about it. I have a past. I have, everybody has a past. Everybody has dark horrors. Everybody has their traumas. Everybody has things. So
show me one thing somebody isn't like, oh yeah, I did that. Yeah. I think everybody's gone through something,
Yeah.
But I don't think you should be ashamed of that, man. I think that made you a warrior.
No, absolutely. I mean, at first it made me look like a jerk, and nobody wanted to be around me.
But it's like, but you don't. If somebody throws you in an ocean and doesn't teach you how to swim, if you can survive, if you can not drown,
I came back a shark, and now
that's what I'm saying.
Now I came back, and I came back a shark. But then I don't
know about a shark. You're like a sweet shark.
I was a hammerhead. I just right on the ground. I just want the little fish. But then, I feel like I wanted to be more like a dolphin. Friendly. Let's go play with.
But could knock the shit out of
But I will beat the crap out of a great white.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I went from like, I guess from like the wolf to the sheepdog.
You're still a protector.
I'm still a protector, and I'll always protect. It doesn't matter. I used to be, parents just be like, oh, you're hanging out with John Howe.
Oh, really? You were that guy?
Really? What are you doing hanging out with him?
Yeah.
But then, some parents actually seen through that. And they were like, oh, well, invite John over for dinner.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you hanging out with John today? I think that's great. You guys going to the gym? You know what I mean?
And that starts to happen more and more frequently, the positive stuff, and less and less is it, oh,
I have like John 1 million moms. I have 1 million moms. Like from high school, all my friends' parents, I was on the football team and stuff. And like, you get relationships, so you sleep over each other's houses.
Yeah.
And you have 1 million moms. And my friends who used to sleep over my house call my stepmom mom. They were able to come in. Hey, Mom, how you doing? Walk it. I didn't even have to be there. Walk in, get a drink. Yeah. You know what I mean? Get something to eat. You can't leave if you didn't get something to eat. And that's like, I want that for my kids too. You know, like we buy a big house and we set up an arcade room and we have a backyard and we have a gaming room
and you
stuff
want all the
like
kids
that.
to like feel
Because
comfortable.
I have 2 fridges in my basement, huge refrigerators, ice cream, kids drinks, waters, you know, Gatorades.
I didn't hear one fucking fruit or vegetable yet.
Kids don't want that.
Yes, they
kids
do.
Don't want that.
They just don't know it.
They want that at parents' house.
Okay, so
right?
my nephew, I don't think he might have been snuck processed foods by the grandmothers,
right?
But he's never had a processed food. And when you give him the option,
he'll take the non-processed. I
know. Mm-hmm. I tried to give him an M&M once, and he goes, nah. He put it in his mouth. He's like, nah, I'm good.
No, and that's a good thing.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like these kids don't have to, you know, I'm not judging you on your shit. I'm so happy you have
the cool house.
He has such a joyous environment, and I'm like shitting on it right now.
I want to have the cool house. And I want every kid to know, like, no matter what, all my kids' friends.
This is a safe place. And
this is like, no matter what you're going through, you can always come here. Like, my wife's like, why do you let all these kids here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because I didn't have it, man. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care that we could have 12 kids in my house and we have 3 separate floors. I'll just tell them, okay, we can't, if my wife's working up on the 3rd floor. Can't go to the arcade room.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but my eye is twitching right now so bad thinking about 12 kids in a house.
Just be like, how do I manage this?
Just like the anxiety and like the sound and the noises and the loudness.
And you know what? I think that we get away from, you know, the sound, because like my wife's the same way. She's like, the noise. They're all yelling. They're running. They're screeching. I said, you know what that sounds like? Fun.
Yeah.
Well, why do we want our kids not to have fun anymore?
It's psychologically, I think it's like no different than like the person who has the apartment next to the elevated train in New York City, and then they go to the country and they're like, I can't sleep here.
I can't sleep here. Yep.
I don't like the sound of nothing. What do you think? Because I gotta ask you about like the politics shit.
Absolutely.
What do you think that total experience of you brings to that? Could bring to that to bring to council? Do you know what I mean?
Because it's like realness.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody really knows much about who their candidates are, or what their backgrounds are, what they've gone through.
Most of the candidates don't want people to know their backgrounds.
Yeah.
It's like, one person actually, it's funny last night. I'm not going to put them out there, but they said, well, I said,
Johnny,
man, listen,
keep it quiet.
You gotta go, you have such a popular following. Why don't you run for office? I don't want those skeletons. I'd still win, but I don't want those skeletons brought out. I have kids now.
Yeah, but why do they have to get brought? I have a problem with them being brought out at all.
And exactly, because it shouldn't worry about what happened in my past, right? What should focus on is, what are my plans for today? Like, for now, what am I going to do today that's going to help us 5 years from now? I don't care about what I did 10 years ago that made me look like a bad person, right? Because I made drastic changes since then, right? And I just don't put it in social media for everybody to fawn over, because I'm so
brave.
I'm authentic. At the end of the day, I just want to be authentic.
Yeah.
And
genuine.
Like with Scranton City Council, like my thing is accountability, common sense, leadership, and community driven. I'm not just putting up big old displays for Christmas and Halloween.
Right.
I'm sorry. I mean, that's not me. That candidate can do that. That could be their reason why they love the city. I mean, other ones I don't know much about.
Other candidates, you mean?
Other candidates I don't know much about. But wouldn't you rather the guy who would sit across from you, drink a cup of coffee, and say, you know what? I used to be an asshole, man.
Yeah.
And own it.
Yeah.
And say, you know what, I did this, but I moved forward. I worked hard on myself. So I'm going to move forward with going on with what the issues are in this city. And if I could fix me, then I can make changes here.
I think you're a great person to do it, because I think because of your upbringing and the things that you've experienced in your life, which are unique. And I know that you're humble about it. You're like, a lot of people had it worse.
A lot worse than me.
A lot of people didn't end up all right.
Right.
That's also something you got to factor in.
No.
I think that having the experience and the no fear thing, I don't care what you think about me.
No.
I'm going to do the right thing, because a lot of people who didn't have your experiences, fear still navigates them.
Yeah. They want to worry about if they're going to get elected next time.
Yeah. And
listen,
I think,
and if you do what the people ask and you represent them properly, and completely. Like, you're never going to please everybody. But as long as you do what's right by the people, you never have to worry about if you're going to get elected again. I don't care how much money's in politics. I've raised $500, right?
Right.
Public record, you can go look at it. I raised $500 through donations, as an independent for my campaign. Everything else comes out of my pocket, right? But you know what? It doesn't matter to me. I don't care how much money is in politics. It's the person. If you can rely on the person, you can run all the ads you want. I'm going to beat those ads by going and sitting on Miss Mary's porch and talking to her about her cat.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm getting personal with it, and you can't do that. You're going to run an ad about how bad I used to be. Childish.
That's if they do it. I don't think anybody's going to do that, man. I think they'd be foolish to do.
Like, you see it all the time, like
Yeah.
on politics. Oh, look what they did. Plagiarist. Bang, bang.
So you're looking at it going like, what's the worst thing that they can say? Can I overcome it? And I don't care.
And even if I can overcome it, I'm still giving you the option because you have your own mind.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want it,
instead of having other people tell you what to think, let them
take
make
the
their
risk.
Let them make up their own minds.
My dad said, John, like Scranton politics, man.
Yeah.
Scranton. He's like, you got a record.
Yeah.
So if that's the worst they can say about me, I won. I got a record. I got a record. That's it. When I was young and dumb. You know what I mean? I made many mistakes.
But were you? Because I don't think I've given a lot of thought to this over the last 3 years, especially with trauma. Mm-hmm. And like I said before, man, somebody threw you in the ocean and expected you to know how to swim.
Right.
No one taught you how to fucking swim.
Right.
So are you young and dumb? Like, are you dumb because you don't know how to swim?
True, but again, I like to just take ownership. I don't
no,
like to minimize or justify.
And I'm not trying to
exactly know. Like, listen, if you don't know how to swim and you come back swimming a certain way, is that really your fault or is that how you learn?
Yeah, I don't want you to think that I'm trying to even make an excuse for anything that happened. I'm just to me, I look at it as a positive. I look at it as like, man, talk about triumph over adversity.
Right.
You know, why wouldn't we want in our elected officials? Because it's now like this popularity contest. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, it was just like, I'm Pete. I think I can do a good job. Here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I want to do, and I want to listen to you. And it's not about like, how many ads did you run?
Right.
How many times? How many rotations did you get on the television? Did you get an article in the paper? Was it positive? Was it negative? What's the thing that they're coming at you for? How can we stop it before it happens? You know, like all that crazy shit that you have to deal with. To just be like, hey, I'm imperfect as all of you. I'd like to do these things, and my core beliefs are this, and you know, I try not to be an asshole. Ask around. Mm-hmm. You know, I try to be honest, and hopefully I get your vote. Instead of being like, oh, you need, you know, for mayor, for district attorney, for commissioner, for representative, for like, you're talking $200,000 a race per candidate.
Yep.
I think that is nuts.
I'm not raising that. That's like 7 times some people's salaries in this area.
Oh yeah.
You think about it, $20,000, $23,000 some people make.
And look, I make money off of it. Like, I'm grateful for it, but I always try to be like, we don't need to spend that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, all the things that they tell you that you need to do, I'm like, half of them don't make sense.
And honestly, coming in without any political like affiliation or help, I was lost. Like, you have to pay $100 to come do this. No, I had to sit there, and I do legal research very well.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there and I'm staring at it and I'm like, I can't find nothing for Scranton. So I'm going to the state. Okay, what does the state say? Okay, well, maybe Dauphin County could help me because they got some paperwork out there. So what does this look like? What do I have to do here? What are the fees? What is this? What is that? And I'm like, they don't make it easy for a regular guy to just, hey, guy or woman, just a regular person to step up and say, I want to go ahead and have the opportunity and the humble opportunity to represent people in the city and do what I think, what we collectively think is right moving forward. It is so hard. If you miss a deadline, you're done.
Yeah.
You don't make a payment on this, you're done. You don't submit that properly, you're done. And just one small thing, and the opposing side can always come through and accuse you of doing something else. Now you're tied up in court.
Yeah.
You know, just to verify.
Just to be like, hey, I think I could do a better job than you.
Right.
let's let the people decide if I can do a better job than you.
Right. And I've offered people on both sides of the aisle opportunities just to sit down and talk. Republicans alike, Democrats alike. The only people who talk to me are Republicans.
Wait, really?
Only people.
What are the circumstances that you're asking under?
Hey, listen,
just like conversation.
Let's just have a conversation. You want to meet up and have a coffee? You know what I mean? And just talk, man. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to work with people that you might not agree with.
Yeah,
right?
Doesn't mean they're bad people.
So listen, I'm intending on winning 100%. Okay, because that's just who I don't do it to lose. I'm not in this to lose. So when I win, I want to be able to just talk and meet and like, can we get past this left and right thing?
Yeah.
Can we just listen? Can we represent the people? That's all I care about. Can we do a good job when we are sitting together? And like, honestly, I've gotten people show up to my events that are Republicans. No Democrats show up.
Ever.
And I invite community conversations for a reason, right? It's not just a rally for John Howe. It is that way we can get people in the room who are running to just talk. You know, we could have a conversation. What are you thinking? I mean, we've had conversations, you and I.
Yeah.
Mark Payne as well. I mean, I feel like him and I actually like share a lot of the same ideas and values. So
what would if I was to put you in a box, what would I put you in? Because you're running as an independent.
I'm conservative.
But are you like?
But I'm also not. I'm not a MAGA. I'm not a MAGA.
I was called that. Did you see the paper call me that?
Yeah. I'm not.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm not that.
You know what my new favorite one is that they don't see is really offensive?
What's that?
Maggot.
Maggot.
Yeah, that's the one they start calling you now where it's like, you're a maggot. And they're all like, wink when they say it. And I'm like, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's weird.
You're just trying to be a mean person.
But I was a registered Republican before this election because I was like, I gotta get on the ticket one way or another. And just because I was registered Republican doesn't mean that I don't have views that are also on the opposite side. So I feel like I'm more like a Kennedy.
Okay.
Like a John Kennedy.
You want to dismantle the CIA and smash it in a million pieces?
I don't like I hate intrusiveness.
What do you mean?
Like just people like the government getting in the way and telling you that this is the way to go. Like I like small government. I think that we should be intruding on our people's lives as least as possible.
It's a little libertarian, ain't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You know what?
Again,
a lot
boxes.
of people say that.
Yeah,
Again, boxes.
Keep labeling, guys.
Yep.
You know, I do like the Constitution. I love the Constitution, so maybe I might be a constitutionalist as well. But honestly, I mean, let's put it this way. My favorite writer is actually a legal writer and was a Supreme Court justice.
I was going to be a real piece of shit and be like, author, John.
No,
and
see, because
I was wrong.
This is a writer.
I kept my mouth shut and then told you how stupid I was.
Right.
Yeah. This is how you know I'll be honest.
Yes. Because he's not an author. He was a Supreme Court justice and he was a legal writer.
Okay.
And it was Antonin Scalia.
Dude, I just recently, like over the last year, because I always thought he was the Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, this dude's a sharp dude.
Yes.
And there are some
things that
some people who say that his the ending of his life was interesting.
You know, but you know, I like him. You know, and like just the way that he breaks stuff down and the way he thinks and the way that he was like when it came to the law and stuff, because like that's like my favorite background is law.
Did you watch the podcast that we had on the common law guys?
No.
With George Uhas?
No.
I'll send that to you.
Yeah, send that to me.
Yeah, the guy, his buddy that was here, I'm like, and you? And he goes, I haven't paid income taxes in 35 years. And I was like, all right, let's get going.
Right, yeah.
But the whole idea of common law, which is really interesting, that is either A, forgotten or most people don't know it. It seems like the basic laws of man. Mm-hmm. You know, how you treat everybody, and it seems like that those common law things, and not to get off in a tangent here, but it seems like those common law tenets are in like every culture, are in every society.
It's the virtues. It's like Aristotle.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like, you know, did you harm me or trespass me?
Right.
Those two things. It's like whether you're a goat farmer in Vietnam, that's the only thing they care about. They're not going to get the government involved and have lawyers and sue in and all this stuff. And the village.
No, that's a Western thing.
Yeah, the village or the community was going to be like, fair enough. We've come to a conclusion. Shake hands, move on.
Thank you, Magna Carta.
Yeah.
You know?
So when elected.
Yeah, when we both get elected, yes. Then we could actually start making some strides with school board / city council working together to help our students as well.
Which I'm obviously, I'm 1,000% for.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay, so if I was to tell anybody, if I was to ask you, let me ask you this question: if you're elected, what can the people be? I don't know if in for is the right word or the right term, but what can they expect?
What can they expect? They can expect
because I think they think right now it's massive fuckery.
Oh, I mean that's absolutely what they think. But no politician is for them.
And can I tell you something? I have no ill will or animosity towards any city council. Mm-hmm. Just anyone sitting on the board.
Well, it's always 3-2.
It should be unanimous if it makes sense.
Excuse me. Absolutely, it absolutely should be unanimous if it makes sense. And regardless of city council, I don't like how there's even a DNR when it comes to city council.
Yeah,
this is for the city. Okay, this isn't for Senate or state representatives, House representatives. Right. You know what I mean? This is for city council, man. The most impactful thing, passing legislation in our city and ensuring that our mayor, our executive office is not overstepping. Checks and balances. That's what this whole thing is about. And I mean, I know that there's a lot on their plates. I mean, you got the home rule charter that you have everything else.
Which I heard is only 2 pages.
It's not really a lot. It's
not like a big, it's like follow these things that we agreed on and just.
Yeah. Well, my buddy Alex told me, he was like, yeah, listen, just make sure you get savvy with this. And I was like,
you were expecting 70 pages.
I have my legal pad out. I'm like, we're ready to go. Let's dive into this.
Oh, here it is. 1 page front and
back. I'm like, 45 minutes later, I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, that's simple enough.
Yeah. It's probably common sense stuff.
It's common sense.
Yeah.
And, but with me, what they're going to expect is they're going to have somebody who is honestly there, who's going to represent them. Right. I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to sit there and smirk and shake my head when being confronted in public, comment.
Do they do that?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
We don't have to say anybody in particular, but
no, it happens. And it's a shame because you know what? You should have thick skin. If you're going to step up there, you should be able to take the punches if you're going to put yourself in that position.
In their defense, I have a terrible poker face too. Like if somebody says something nuts, I'm going to be like, what?
Yeah, but you're not going to dismiss it. It's like the body language is totally dismissive.
Right.
Like when they're directing it at you and you're not even looking at them and you're just.
My ears might perk up. I might be like, what did you say?
And I'm like, really? You can't even give them the decency of looking at them when they address you?
Yeah, they should. You know what I noticed McAndrew did at the meeting? He looked at everybody. He kept eye contact the whole time.
I like McAndrew.
He's a good dude.
I really I've said that ever since my very first meeting in public at Greenridge.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, he's a man who just he goes with common sense. Yeah. Like, listen, if it says this, why am I going to believe anything else?
Yeah.
Right. Why am I going to go ahead and take a shot?
Yeah.
I'm not taking a shot in the dark here.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Let's revisit this. Schuster too, man. It's like he's always trying to fight uphill. Like, listen, why don't we table this for now? I want to take a better look at it. We can revise it. No, let's push it through 3-2. Come on, man.
I don't think that's
Are you kidding me?
Here's the thing.
If you have if you have somebody that you're working with and you respect it as a fellow leader, right? Public servant, and you respect them. And they're saying, I don't quite understand enough about this yet. I would like to table it so I could take a better look at it and we could actually see what's going on.
Yeah.
And you blatantly say, let's vote on it right now. 3-2, we're passing. Come on, man.
That doesn't seem like good government.
What? It's aggravating as a citizen, as a taxpayer, to see somebody saying, I have a concern. Can we just redress it at a different time?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, now. Boom.
Yeah, I saw that the other night. It was weird.
And it happens all the time.
Yeah, McAndrew said what he said about the domestic terrorism thing. It was like, anybody would have been, anybody eating like a Cheeto would have been like, what did he say?
Mm-hmm.
And they just right through.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
What the fuck?
And it doesn't matter what side you are on. That's what drives me nuts. There should be nothing.
None of the issues that they voted on should have been partisan.
No partisan.
Whoa, this just doesn't make sense.
We need more people in who are going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. More people that our citizens can count on.
Yeah.
And if you're out here not listening to the citizens, everybody knows I'm going for the 2-year spot against Jerry Smurl.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's a bad guy, good guy, nothing. I think
he's a decent guy.
All I know is he went up there and said, "Dad, it was a vote about the First Amendment, right? Now I'm against flag burning, right?
Absolutely, me too. But it's a right.
It is. Unfortunately, it is.
Unfortunately,
and I always go back to the case. I think it was in Illinois, Indiana, the ACLU.
Yes,
the Nazis wanted to have a rally, a parade, which I'm like." With like street vendors? I don't know. So the Nazis wanted to have a parade.
Right.
The guy who defended him was someone who survived Auschwitz.
Mm-hmm.
He said they have the right to do it. I don't agree with them, but they have the right to do it.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Smurl says, even though the Supreme Court has voted that this is a First Amendment violation if we say that they have to do this, we're going to vote it through anyways. And I was sitting in the back going like, what?
The guy.
How do you override the Supreme Court's
such thing
opinion?
as a supremacy clause, bud?
That's what I mean.
Do you not understand that?
And I looked around the room and I was like, does anyone realize what's happening here? Like in that moment, they're saying that your constitutionally protected First Amendment rights are null and void. Mm-hmm. And they're like, but no, they're not. And it's like, you're supposed to protect us to use them, not take them away from us.
Right.
And it might seem like an innocuous, stupid hill to die on. And I'm not going to die on this hill because I think there's bigger fights to be had. But to not recognize that, to be elected officials and not recognize that, like, you're even saying, do you have it up there? He says it. Do you have it on that clip?
I see.
He goes, even though the state versus blah, blah, blah in the Supreme Court of the United States, he goes, the police chief said we needed it. And I'm like, all right, well, if the police chief said that they needed it, right? I can understand the police chief saying like, yeah, sure, we need stuff to help us with gangs, right? Especially if it's like free money or something, but it's not.
Absolutely.
It's some consulting group that's going to say something, right? That's going to give a recommendation.
Yep.
And then you go on the website and you're like, oh, it's for, all they talk about is domestic terrorism. Yeah. And then you go, okay, let's go back to Smurl's thing saying the chief of police is okay with the gang activity. Did he really say that? I'm curious if he really said that.
Yeah,
because otherwise he said no, we need to fight domestic terrorism.
Yes, that's what I mean.
And if he said domestic terrorism, then councilman needs to go, wait, what? It's not gangs, it's domestic terrorism?
Absolutely.
And that didn't see. And then McAndrew goes, it's domestic terrorism. And all of them went like, nah, we're good with our vote. And none of them went, wait, it's what? I was told it was. It's like going like this. This is all for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep.
And then you get up there and they go, this is all for the Philadelphia Eagles. Everyone would have went, wait, what?
No way.
This is not what I voted for.
Nope.
So how can you see it when it's the Eagles and the Steelers, but you can't see it when it's like, there's a difference between gangs and domestic terrorism.
And it's.
You can't find it? It's no big deal. I just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I'm not sure what part of that meeting is.
I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm saying he's ill-informed or something happened.
Well, there was another instance where he was on, what was that, Housing Appeals Board? And somebody asked about, do they have transcripts? Or do they have meeting minutes or notes?
Yeah,
or
you're supposed to take them.
And he's like, yeah. And
I record them on my iPhone.
I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, this is a hearing. You don't keep minutes. You keep transcripts because it's a legal hearing.
Right.
So no, there's no minutes. Why did you just lie?
I don't, because I honestly don't think he knows.
And that's why I think that he gets put. He does a good job. Well, he did a good job with helping AOG, the mulch and clearing grass and doing some weeding. And he does good on Main Street USA when it comes to, oh, look, we went around with the weed whacker and did this. He's a good landscaper. He's a good landscaper. And I appreciate.
I didn't mean to laugh like that.
But seriously,
I was like, that's not where I expected him to go.
I want to hire him. I have a lot. I need some hedges that do need trimmed and some trees, and not a lot of companies know how to actually do it properly. He seems like he does, honestly.
Okay.
And I do need HVAC service, so I know he has HVAC. But I think he might be good at that. Like, good at like getting the pictures out for Christmas and Halloween and bringing that spirit and that festive. But I don't think he wants to be on city council. I really don't think he wants to be in that type of leadership position at all, just based off the way he's voted since day one. I don't, and some of the things he says, I really, truly don't believe he wants it.
So then why be there? Why run for re-election?
Candidate. I mean, everybody
that's
knows.
Really it?
Everybody knows that was the appointment. I knew I had 104-degree fever. I went there.
You wanted to get appointed.
I wanted to get appointed, and I was sick, and I was like, if I miss this, I lose. And so I at least need to go and make an ass out of myself,
right?
And like talk. I don't even remember half the stuff I was saying,
which is more courageous than most people.
I was sick, but I was just like, yeah, I'm going to be there. And then my father told me the day before, he said, you know what, word on the street is that Smirl's going to get it. That's the mayor's guy. And I'm like, get out of here. An HVAC guy?
You know what surprises me? No one really listens to the street.
Nobody. And listen,
nobody
anymore. I go to my dad.
That's where you go first
and say, hey, listen, what did Uncle Joe say? You know
right.
what I mean? Because Uncle Joe, for some reason, my Uncle Joe, he knows everything.
Everything's bugged from the 70s.
From like he
still has all the frequencies.
Watergate. He's Watergated up.
Yeah.
Like he knows. And like honestly,
he's like, I could still listen to the women's restroom in the Sheraton Inn and done more. It's like they tore that down, but I could still hear it.
And it's like, wow. I mean, how did he know? And then he's like, no, Smirl's going to get it. That's the mayor's guy.
Oh man, that's
and I'm
scary.
like, what? When I really thought my opponent was Bobby.
Bobby who?
Goins Collins.
Who's that?
Robert. He's the one that got that they hit him with that slam piece. Somebody dug something up from him. He had like a trespass charge, a felony trespass charge.
I remember something about this, but I don't remember like the specifics of it.
But like he came in and like I seen him clean cut, and I'm like, okay. Came up right to me. I'm like, okay, that shows that he's confident.
Yeah.
And he had this packet, and I'm like, he's done his homework.
Right.
He had perfect answers for every question.
How?
I mean,
what does he do? What's his deal?
He's on
like,
one of the
background?
boards. He's on one of the boards. He's really a great guy. He's actually one of my neighbors.
I'm not shitting on the guy.
And
I'm trying to be pragmatic.
What he said was, because I asked him, I said, how did you know everything? And he said, I just went through all of the previous appointment questions. He's like, on YouTube. He's like, and I studied them. He's like, I was ready for anything they were ready to throw at me.
They use the same test?
It's like just a roundabout questions. Like, what are you going to do? What are your plans?
Yeah. Do you like turtles?
What have you done? How would you handle the budget? And, just the basic stuff. Like, listen, number one, I've never seen your budget. I don't know how I'm going to handle it. I know I need to go line by line. I know I need to figure out where we're wasting money and $70,000, checks being given to out of town companies to run studies on us. I mean, I know
that are sheep's and wolves clothing or whatever.
Wolves and sheep's clothing, absolutely.
Something like that.
Sheep's and wool.
Hey, listen, we're good.
Sheep's and werewool, you idiot.
Yeah,
but listen,
like
he was very well put together, and he was very respectful, and like you knew, like, all right, this guy, he's going to be a politician.
Well, I'm also cynical, and I'm like, I'm very suspect of like the well put to guy person now.
Yeah,
like with the well put together. I'm like, I see Gavin Newsom, and I'm like, that's American Psycho,
right?
Like, that's a guy that like everyone should look at the TV and be like, Bateman.
Yep.
I don't know which way the wind is going to blow for any of us.
No, absolutely.
I don't know if we're all going to be successful in our endeavors. But
if we are, imagine the change.
Well, here's what I do think. No matter what happens, we should all continue to talk to each other.
Yeah, this isn't just we're going to talk once and be done.
Yeah, like I think election day happens, and I think that the friendships and the acquaintances need to still blossom, and bloom. And I think because what I think is I think that like there are in a community, everybody can't be the farmer.
No,
some people have to be the ones who go out and get the food. Some people have to be the ones who educate. Some people have to be the ones who give, peace.
Absolutely.
And I think that we all have different skill sets and values to what we do. And I think I recognize the value in the things that you do. I hope, and I try to recognize it in other people too. And I think that together, because everybody's heart's in the right place. We might totally disagree on a lot of the shit, but I think now we're starting to get people like you, like Payne. I wouldn't even include me in that, but it seems like there's I remember, nothing against Marty Flynn, but like Thomas Bassett came out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, like good for like a guy to just like against all odds, not a politician, he's an educator, to just come out and try it. And I think there was like a young girl in Luzerne County that did it too. And it's not like these people who have like every 2 to 4 years are just, and I think that's a breath of fresh air. I think the one thing that like COVID did was it aside from like waking a bunch of people up, it really encouraged a lot of people to stop sitting on the sidelines and start participating.
Indeed.
Not even in the political sphere, but just like,
be a member of something in your community.
Yeah.
Make it better.
Yeah. And I think you do that with all the stuff that you do with sports. And, I think I got to come up there and see all those kids. We have a game, not this Sunday. Next Sunday, Lakeland is coming to North Scranton. So we have a full day of games there. So next Sunday. Who plays up at Connell?
Oh,
I was up there this morning.
I don't know. It used to be the Southside Steelers. I don't even think
still a thing. Because I'm looking at it going like, they have a huge football field back here. And
when I was younger, we used to play. It used to be the Southside Indians back then, and then they switched back to the Southside Steelers.
That place
that's where we used to practice.
They have a BMX track.
Yeah,
the pool looks nice.
Yeah, if they can keep it open.
Yeah, it's bad. All right. So the pools seem to be a big deal. Are you bringing them back?
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, that is family. That's family fun. That's childhood memories. That's, bringing back that sense of community. I believe every community should have a pool.
Yeah.
I went to the
Oxy and a neighborhood school.
Yes.
Yep.
I went to the Oxy in Westside. We would walk every day. Our parents would give us $1. We'd go up there and we would spend literally all day at the Oxy. And then we'd walk home. And like, it was awesome. You're there with your friends. You're having fun. You're not out vandalizing things. You're not out getting into trouble. You're not sitting at home just twiddling your thumbs.
You're also not home eating junk food, watching fucking Netflix. Like you're out
having
about.
fun. You're communicating. You're experiencing life. And with taking, especially NAOG, man, I don't understand what goes on with NAOG because I from what I understand, it was granted. It was like gifted to the city. Like it was granted or something. And like, you shouldn't, like the way that they're going about things there. I need to refresh myself on a lot of the stuff.
Talk to Payne
because I need to know more about exactly how they can do things in NAOG when it wasn't even ours to begin with.
NAOG doesn't look that good right now.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. And I drove by. My daughter's a Girl Scout, so they always do the Christmas lights, changing the bulbs every year.
Yeah.
And I always drive through. I mean, I just like going and walk through sometimes.
Sure.
And it's not the same. It's really not the same. Like, and right now it should be like bubbling with laughs, running, whistles, toot toot.
Joy.
Enjoying summer activities.
Yeah.
Like I know that we got the butterfly farm thing up there, the butterfly garden. Like that's going to be beautiful.
I didn't
nice
know that they were doing
see.
That. They have a greenhouse up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they should be doing educational shit.
I know the greenhouse does that. They try to get people involved with it. It's just not as popular. Like not a lot of people
sexy.
are going to. Yeah.
Oh, they're opening the mine again too.
Yeah, they're opening up the mine.
Yeah. We don't want you to look up top, but go down inside.
Right. Yeah. Forget about the pool.
Yeah. Don't look above. No, don't look above. Go in a journey to the world underneath.
I think that we could do, and like, I wish I could make it to one of these. I don't want to give up on my kids because I know Mark will fill me in. If I call him and ask him, because I know he went to one of the meetings, like what the community said. And I know that I can get information from him. I don't want to give up coaching the kids to go sit.
Dude, I get it.
Right now. But, we need a pool there. And why? And it's not just, why? Why not? Why don't we need a pool? I mean, I get the splash pad. I'm not a big fan of splash pads.
They suck.
I mean,
they just closed the one down in South Abington because apparently, so I was told this today. So there's a splash pad. There's a splash pad up at South Abington.
Yes.
Are you aware of this?
Yes, I've been there.
Okay. Apparently, you're only supposed to have like 0.02% bacteria in the water.
Yep.
They just tested it and it was like 78.
What?
I just let my kids play in the creek there.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
put them in. You're better off a
it's cleaner.
crawfish and you know,
They build dams with rocks with all their shoes on and shit. And
duck poop coming down the river. Yeah, don't put them on the splash. I'm not trying to take a shit on South Abington, but go play in the river.
That thing was always broken. Fuck them.
Well, look, we've been doing this 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
It goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That's what happens when you have a good conversation with good people. You enjoy it.
Yes.
I'm incredibly happy and incredibly proud that you're running.
Thank you.
I think you have a really unique story and you have a really unique perspective. And I think we need more people who can't get pushed around.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that you have a good head on your shoulders. Your heart's in the right place. And I wish you all the luck. I don't think any of those people would ever come on here and talk to us. You know, I don't think so. And look, if they want to hit us up, we'll happily have them on. We'll talk.
And if you want to come over and debate me over here, we might be able to set that up.
I'd like to have a debate. People have been asking me to do that.
I would like to get somewhere one time just to get out and talk. And not even like a debate, but just varying of opinions. Like, what were you thinking when you voted this way?
Yeah.
You know? And
but you know what? He comes from, unfortunately, what happens is like, he can argue from a position of authority, which I don't agree with.
Right.
But he's arguing from a position of authority because he has literally seen more information than you have.
Absolutely.
He has literally talked about more stuff. And there's sometimes that like I'm sure that they can't speak about certain things.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that it's a right choice.
Mm-hmm. But believe me, if I'm in city council and there's the hush hush going around that things have to go one way or another. If it doesn't break the law, I best believe I am whistleblowing that.
Here's what I really believe. You're on the ballot. Payne's on the ballot. I think that would be. It's not it's not against the executive branch. It's not. Right. But what it does is like if it forces them to send down good legislation.
Mm-hmm. I know.
If all y'all can agree on it, it's good legislation.
Yes.
And if you need to literally divide city council, that's not good legislation.
No, it's not.
So I'd much prefer that like you guys would be there to checks and balances on that and be like, hey, we are so cool with like doing all this stuff. Take out this 20% that's absolute lunacy.
Right.
We'll pass it, or just remove it completely. We will pass all this stuff. We will table the other shit till something else. And that's what we need
to do. That's what this branch of government is meant to do.
Yeah, they have the authority to do it. They can do it.
That's their job.
Yeah,
we're not here to play. People say play yes men for the administration or whatever, but we're not here to play nice. We're here to play right. We're here to play fair.
The ones who are just a rubber stamp should really self-reflect.
Yes. Are they doing it for the right reasons, or are they looking to go somewhere else? Are they using it as a stepping stone?
You know how groups work, man. If you're in the group and they let you in, but I'll tell you what, man, what any of them are going to probably find out. If it's the way that I think it is, what any of them, because any of them are susceptible to this at any moment, is that group might kick you out.
Right.
And the thing about it is that outside that group is the rest of us, and we have welcoming arms as long as you go like, what? Yep. I kind of made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
Yeah,
I
we
understand.
accept in that group. You're not allowed to make mistakes.
Nope.
Dan, did you have a good time?
That was a great time. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
John, you're a good dude.
I try to be now.
You are.
Yeah,
I would have let you kick my ass in the past. It might have taught me a lesson.
You would have let him kick your ass.
I would have never. I would have ran like a fast cheetah.
No. Well, listen, thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, after you win, you want to come back on and have a chat?
I'd come on every week if you need.
Huh? Well,
I know you have people that you got in line.
If you want to do the John Howe show.
Listen, I like this. Getting out and actually having people get the chance to know the authentic rawness, not what.
Is anybody in the media or anything asked you to have this?
No. Amber asked me for a podcast.
Well, no, she's great.
You asked me for the podcast.
She got you first, the bastard.
But you asked first, though.
I did.
You did ask first.
I asked you like 2 months ago.
Yeah. And
good job, Mark.
Yeah, Dan.
Yes. But no, like as far as like
we need discussions like
local, like things, like even ECTV, if they were to reach out, I would sit there and talk.
Well, you can't drop an F-er on ECTV.
I wouldn't. I would be more reserved.
I think that's why they're hesitant to have me. But I'm like, nice fucking studio.
I mean, you can't. You also are not dropping it in the middle of City Hall either. You know what I mean? Online.
No, look, man. In a situation like this, I think here's why I think the value of cursing. I think what it does is it allows everybody to be like, there's a layer of you don't have to watch what you say. Mm-hmm. I have a real concern with self-censorship.
Yes.
Right. If you hate a certain group of people, and it's very apparent that you do.
Yep.
I would really be like, why do you feel that way?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to judge you for that, but I want to know. Maybe by the end of our conversation, I might have a different perspective on you.
Yep.
But I think that to be like, fuck, allows everybody to go. It takes down whatever temperature's in the room, and you're like, oh, I can talk like I don't have to watch what I'm saying here.
And when people see that, like from the outsider's perspective, like a citizen versus like when they see a person who's in a leadership role, I feel like as a young age we're taught to like place them on a pedestal. They're like, oh my goodness, they're almost like saint-like. That's representative such and such. That's president such and such.
They all poop, man.
But you know what, man? Sometimes I have bad days, man, and I'm just like, shit, man, I don't want to do nothing today. Like I just want to lay in bed, take some Tylenol, and sleep today away. I'm a human being at the end of the day.
You need to come meditate with me someday.
I tried meditating and I love it.
We're gonna get you.
I love it. Honestly, like it really, I think it put me to sleep.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that if you had that when you were younger, it would have helped you?
Heck yeah.
So there's no doubt in your mind.
I started trying to meditate back about a year and a half ago. And it was just like a little 7 minutes, like on YouTube, like here, listen to this, breathe in your nose, out your mouth, just relax, focus, think of nothing. Breath. And then I woke up. I felt like great. Like I felt like I literally woke up because I set my alarm for like 7 minutes because it was like a 7-minute timer. And I felt like I fell asleep that whole time. I don't know if I did, but I woke up and I was rejuvenated. I told my brother and I was like, dude, you got to meditate. But then I got away from it. But like the trick is thinking about it, just getting that 7 minutes, it was like life changing.
Noise canceling headphones. Mm-hmm. And then if you're brave enough, the float tanks down at Giving Tree.
Oh man, I've seen them. I want to try them, but I'm very like claustrophobic.
You can leave the lid open.
Yeah.
It's not what you think it is. It's going to feel really weird the first time you do it.
That might help my back a lot.
The pain that the discomfort that you would feel while you're laying in it, I think is your body trying to align back together.
Back up, yes.
Right. But the cool thing is that like if you put your phone on like do not disturb, you can plug your phone in. And you could listen to like whatever you want. So I have all these like ambient sounds or like, a river in Colorado. And remember to always put the earplugs in because if not, you lay in the water and all the water goes in your ear. And then like for days you have Epsom salt like just caked in your ear. So you have to do hydrogen peroxide. Yeah. I learned that the hard way.
Well, I learned it the easy way.
But it takes about like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And as long as you like kind of surrender to it,
right?
And you don't, and it's you're not gonna realize like all your body parts, like your shoulders will be hunched and your neck will be twisted a little bit, and you don't realize that you're fighting it,
right?
So just once you finally get there, and then there's some times where I feel like, and it's weird, I feel like I'm in an ocean, and my feet aren't straight out,
right?
Horizontal, they're vertical, and I feel like I'm floating and I'm spinning, and it's really wild.
Right. Yeah.
But it's really, I highly recommend it. At least
you're getting me to try the drip bar so far. So
we're going tonight. You want to come?
If you want a free plug, hit us up.
If you want, we're going down tonight. You want to go?
I do. I do want to go down and check it out. So
all right. I had fun, man. I hope you did too.
Yes. I had a great time.
Dan, want to say it?
What a week.